It is your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth, along with
Jobo.
when it's about sports, it becomes our business. And Joe,
Business just keeps picking up, and we're off to a really good start in 22.
yes, we are. Shouts out to everyone who is tuning in right now. Get them shares going because we have a very special show going on for you. As Joe alluded to, such a great start already to 2022. Joe, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. It's been a good week so far, work related. I'm excited about tonight's show. It's hump day, the weekend's almost here, so football playoffs. I'm really excited about that this year for some reason. Watching this Sunday's games, it was awesome. So I'm excited for this weekend for playoff football.
Hey, I definitely feel you. That's gonna be one of my what's on your mind topics. Just a great weekend that we had this past weekend, excuse me, in sports and coming up this upcoming weekend. And like you said, it's already Wednesday. The week has gone by fast. Like you said, work has been busy, but it also just kind of helps the day go by, the week go by. So
And
I
Friday's
ain't gonna
payday.
complain. Exactly. So can't go wrong with that. Once again, everyone who's watching for the first time, we are your Wednesday night sports delight. Go ahead, you see on the bottom of your screen. Hit the like and share button. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on any Roku TV device. When you go on YouTube, though, you gotta subscribe. Click on that
Bill,
because anytime we go live,
all of y'all will be notified.
your mama, and your cousin too. Shouts out to Stan, our other co-host, along with Bunny. She will be back in February. Speaking of which, Joe, y'all did an incredible job opening up 2022 in style with Ladies Night. So shouts out to you, Sharita and Annie, for an incredible job. So salute.
Yeah, no, that was a good way to start off 22. Like you said, it was a good, fun show. Lots of different topics, and I'm excited to have Bunny back for February.
Yes. So I may post this a few times throughout the show, but as she said, Bunny will be back for season 2 officially of Ladies Night every first Wednesday of the month with Sharita, Bunny, Joe, and Annie. So make sure y'all definitely, ladies, make sure y'all definitely show your fellow ladies who love sports some love. Cause these ladies, they bring it. They know their stuff. The conversations be off the chain. It definitely will have you really tuned in to what the ladies have to offer. Last week, y'all was talking about Antonio Brown and mental health. Then you get to this topic and that topic in regards to football playoffs, to
The
national
Olympics.
championship, to the Olympics. So I mean, y'all have a nice broad range of topics that people would love to engage in. So the show continues to get better and better. So once again, shouts out to you and the ladies for holding down Ladies Night. Definitely shouts out to y'all.
Yeah.
So once again, exciting night. We have a big time guest who's going to be on the show. Once again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get them shares going because we're going to have a crazy show. We want to get everyone to just comment and show love throughout the night. You know, we're going to have a lot of different topics for the first hour of the show. A couple of hot topics going on around the world of sports. And before I do that, though, I have a special announcement because starting in March, yeah, you already see the ladies are doing their own thing with Ladies Night. So I thought about it. I was watching a old episode from 2000 and I want to say maybe 19. And I was like, man, this was a great episode. The dialogue was just so off the chain. I'm like, the ladies can have their own night. I think it's time for the men to hold things down. So with that being said, starting March 30th, every last Wednesday of the month, the man cave is coming. Once again, every last Wednesday of the month. So then you'll have the man cave. Then the next week you'll have ladies' night. It's gonna be bananas. I'm excited. Joe, when you found out about this, like what was your thoughts about the man cave coming?
Pretty much, it's about time. We've been doing ladies night a little over a year now, and now the guys get to do their own thing, and we get to sit back and watch y'all. So it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, so stay tuned in regards to who's going to be on the panel for the man cave. I'll keep y'all in suspense for a little bit, but it's going to be dope, and I just love how I'm able to be in a position, thank you, Lord, to branch out things for the platform sports talk show. We have what we're doing now, where we have special guests, then we can have ladies night, then we can have the man cave. And as Sharita brought up during our super show, how she held things down wrestling wise with Brian Turner a while back with the SummerSlam recap show. So I mean, the opportunities are endless in regards to everything that the platform sports talk show could bring. So we definitely appreciate all the love, and we're just gonna keep this thing going in 2022. Once again, shouts out to everyone watching right now. And Joe, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into our first topic. I have a feeling what may be the very first one that you bring out in regards to, you now have my attention. What sports story or stories has your attention?
Well, until we talk about you mentioning it with football playoffs coming up, I completely forgot about this topic. But then I remembered we got the owners and the players meeting tomorrow for their first actual meeting, I guess you can say. We'll see how long it's going to last, because last time it was like maybe 5 minutes. But
Right.
for anyone that knows what I'm talking about baseball. I didn't say that. But yeah, hopefully it's the beginning of something positive. I don't think it's going to be. I do think it's going to be pushed out as long as possible, and we can ask our special guest about his thoughts later on. But yeah, that's something that just got my attention right now, and I'll be looking forward to Jeff Passan tweeting tomorrow and Ken Rosenthal.
Yeah, most definitely. As people have been saying, if you follow baseball live, especially on Twitter and the whole nine, like they have not met at all since everything started. It's been over 40 some days. Um, we just hope that they get to an agreement, get all these egos put to the side, because it's not about y'all, it's about the fans, it's about the people who love the game. And the last thing that you want to do if you are a pure baseball fan is to start loving the game less. You know what I mean, Joe? Because
Yeah.
of the so many issues that baseball has had over the last couple of years. We're trying to agree on this, trying to agree on that.
Yeah,
Let's
and I
just
was
be, just come with it. Let's come together with a great solution, and make things happen, especially during this pandemic time. So many things going on
Mhm.
outside the world of sports. This is the moment to step up and let's make things happen.
Yeah, we'll see. I do. There's John Boy Media. They have all their different types of podcasts and stuff. And Ian Happ's on one of them, and he's also a voice for the players. And I was listening to his episode yesterday, I believe, and this is like the third or fourth player that I've heard say this. And the main thing, besides wanting to be treated like fairly and with respect, is players just want teams to be competitive.
Right.
Like it's awesome to get those 10 wins a year against the Pirates, that's going to help you get a W. But these guys are born and made and put together differently than we are. They want to compete, to the highest stage. And MLB doesn't care that you got teams like the Orioles that are just constantly tanking. They're probably going to trade their top two prospects, in the next coming years. And it's just a consistent circle. And the Orioles were one of the best teams in baseball in like 2012, 2013. So I don't know
Right.
why, it's just upsetting, and it's sad that that's literally the main thing the players want, is to play competitive teams. 162.
And just to add on to it, we shouldn't, like, let's say we're part of the Cardinals. We should look at our schedule and be like, oh, we got Pittsburgh, so we're gonna definitely win that series. Oh, we got this team, we're gonna definitely win that series. As you said, having a competitive league, not just the best 8 teams out of 15 or 16 from the NL and 4 or 5 from the AL.
Hmm.
It's going to make for better competition. It's going to bring the crowds out. The
Yeah.
expectation of a loss won't be as strong as it has been for certain teams. It's just gonna make the game better. So let's find a way to make everything more competitive. We know, like in basketball, you have a salary cap, so can't no team just have some crazy, obscene number that they want to give to a guy. They have to respect the salary cap. Baseball need to
Dodgers,
find a
Yankees.
right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So baseball needs to find a way to do something like that to make
It,
everything more competitive.
it'd be cool. Like I remember, was it July? I guess July, August, when the Dodgers came to town for that 4-game set. We split that series, and I went into it thinking we were going to lose 3 or 4, if not get
Right.
swept. But
Right.
those games, the stadium, the atmosphere is so much better and different when it's a good team with good players on their team coming to town. Imagine what it would be like consistently if you had the Pirates, like I said, and the Marlins are going in the right direction, but the Marlins, if they're consistently making good plays, getting good players on their team, just how crazy the atmosphere would be at Busch Stadium all year long.
And it kind of reminds me of like that movie Major League, when before before the guys became stars, it was like no people in the stands, or it'd be like, out of a possible 30 something thousand people, you may have 5,000 people. And I know players aren't supposed to worry about that when they're on the field, but you just want to be able to say, yeah, this is my home team, or oh, I'm going on the road and I'm playing at Wrigley Field, so I know it's going to be a crowd there. I know I got to show out. That's how it needs to be, no matter where you go. I'm going to give these people a show, and I can feel the excitement coming from the stadium, that they are ready for some great baseball. And good evening to our wonderful official number one fan, Miss Williams. She
Hi, Miss
says, "Hi,
Williams.
Fred. Hi, Joe." There we go. So once again, everyone, share right now. Let's get as many people tuned in. Bring them comments, bring them questions. Let's have a good time with it. That's what this show is all about.
I guess I have one more before you get into yours, unless this was going to be one of yours as well. But just sports in general. My tweet yesterday, I think it was. It's still fun watching, and it gives me still joy. But with all this COVID stuff, like now we got 3 more guys going on the COVID protocol list for the Blues. It's just, we're still winning, but
Man.
I want to see, like, just with baseball, you want to see the best players out there. Like David Perron, he's out. You just got Schenbeck with injury, and now he's out. I can't remember who else it was. Barbashev, maybe. But it's annoying. It's kind of like, that's another reason why I'm done with that's my brother. Let's see. He said that was a super team at the cap, and it's filtered out throughout the league, thus less super teams and less big series like that with the attendance. Yep, talking about that baseball with the fans in the stands. But I don't remember what I was saying about hockey. But this is the thing, like with fantasy sports, like I told you, I'm not in it that much anymore. We got like 10 IR spots, and most of it's for COVID players. It's kind of silly and pointless at this point.
And then just like last week, how your husband was talking about, well, the good thing is that some of these guys are, catching COVID or whatever now. So then they don't have to be tested in 3 months. But then it's like, well, the same token, 3 months come down, you got playoffs. And remember what happened last year? David Perron had COVID. That changed the whole series against Colorado,
Sure.
So and it just sucks because last week or two, no, around Christmas time, everyone was getting healthy. New Year's, everyone was healthy pretty much. And we rolled out and had a full squad pretty much. And it was like, yeah, here we go.
I still think it's only 2 games we played all year with a full, completely healthy roster.
Right. But it was like,
how
here
are you
we go.
supposed to judge a team?
And you can't. But that's the beauty of, what shall I say? That's the good thing about what Berube has done and how this Blues team has played throughout all the adversity. They are still like right there. I think they're like a game or 2 behind the top spot in their Central Division. They are 3 points behind Nashville. They tied with Colorado. So, I mean, hey, salute to the Blues. And I feel like the league is giving this team the respect that they deserve too. It's not like, no, it was the Blues. But no, they like, wait a minute. This is a team that you want to keep an eye on. They
Before
showing
the year
that
started,
swag.
Yeah, before the year started, they kind of just, they said Kraken we're gonna have a better year than us, and
Right, right,
that's kind of
right,
an insult for a team that just
right.
won the whole thing a couple of years ago. But no, we're definitely getting the respect that we should get. It's kind of weird that the Preds are up there, and me and Brendan were talking yesterday. I feel like I never hear about the Preds, and they're in first place. So
Right, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but shouts out to the Blues, man. Yeah, they're going through adversity, but they are still one of the best teams in all of hockey. So shouts out to them. In regards to my what's on your mind, I'm sorry, you now have my attention, my bad. One thing that I thought you were gonna bring up, but you didn't. But the Yankees hired Rachel
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Bakovich to manage low 18, the first woman to ever be a manager in the league, pretty much. And of course, not the big time, not the big show, but just in some type of capacity in Major League Baseball. She's the first woman to ever be hired as a manager in that position. So once again, she'll be joining the low A team for the Yankees organization. And I know you had that tweet out last week, Joe, and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. So when you saw that, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. I was pumped up. And it was kind of funny last week on Ladies' Night. We were talking about the Spurs assistant. Just how she's
Becky Hammond.
how she's right there and coaching. That would be her next step after the WNBA, where she's going to be next year. Is possibly being a female coach in the NBA. So it just kind of thought it was funny. Last week we were talking about that, and then this week that news comes out. But it's awesome. It's low A ball, but I mean that's still one step closer to me. Like I'm never gonna be able to do that, but it's awesome, and hopefully more stuff like that happens. We've talked about Kim Ing with the Marlins. That's awesome as well, and hopefully we just keep seeing this stuff happen, and not just Major League Baseball, or it hits home with me, but just in all the sports.
Yeah, most definitely. And another one, as you brought up earlier, and as I was stating as well, but last weekend was just an incredible weekend of sports. Uh, I'll start off personally for me. Last Saturday, I went to the Billikens versus Iona game. I had the opportunity to see the legend himself, Rick Pitino. It was like a last minute thing because St. Louis Billikens were going to play a different team. But because of COVID issues, that team couldn't travel. So then, like within 48 hours, they had to find a team. And all on Twitter, you saw, ooh, our owner's available. Let's bring in Rick Pitino. And the story behind that is that Rick Pitino is he was the coach of the current Billikens basketball coach, Travis Ford. So they have a history already. So went to the game. Shouts out to my boy, Coach Brian Turner, coach of St. Mary's high school boys basketball team. Went to the game. You had great seats. I left some footage on Twitter. Just go on there right now. Check it out. I almost got like a thousand, like 1,500 views on there already. Pretty amazing. But to have some highlights that I put on there, but the seats were incredible. The game was amazing. Billikens won by a nail biter, pretty much like a game-winning shot. Then the cool part was after the game, I didn't know this can go down, but Brian Turner was like, "Hey, I'm gonna stay a little bit longer so I can, meet the players and stuff." I'm like, "Huh?" So then we literally leave from the stands and go down, walk on the floor. If they had a basketball on the floor, I could have played with it, and shooting Jay, like that's how cool it was. Was able to meet the players. Saw Travis Ford walk by, met some of the media. I was close to Danny McLaughlin. I mean, it
Come
was
on
just,
now.
yeah. I mean, it was just super dope.
You
Was
slip
able
him
to really,
the business card.
man. He was doing this thing, so I didn't get a chance to
Yeah.
actually meet him like I wanted to, but I did meet some other media members and stuff like that, and they definitely know what the platform sports talk show is. So stay tuned for that. And was able to talk with the star player from SLU, Yuri Collins, and amongst other guys. So it was just a great overall experience and a great game. Then you had the NFL play, the week 18 or week 17, whatever it was, for the first time ever. NFL had a longer week. And just all those games were just so amazing. From the Rams and San Fran game to what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers game versus the Ravens. Then they had to wait to see what happened with the outcome of the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Chargers. So many games have so many implications on whether you're going to be in the playoffs or be like this, like, and then the Indianapolis Colts and how they choked and lost against the Jacksonville Jaguars, how
that was bad.
That changed the whole landscape of Sunday. But it was just overall some exciting moments over the weekend, and that's what sports can bring. That's why it's so important for Major League Baseball to get things together now, so everything can be set for spring training, and then get ready for a full 162. So, man,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
That's something that's been going around text chain here at the house. Who's your top 3 QBs right now? Just this year. Like, yeah.
Top 3 QBs. You put me on the spot. 1 has to be Aaron Rodgers. 2, Tom Brady. 3 is a good one. Let me pull this up. I gotta look at these teams real quick. If I can say a third person, third quarterback. Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Duh.
Patty Mahomes. I don't know. Joe Burrow's eye-opening. This year,
I was close to choosing him. I was close, but it's like still, hey, Patty won a title. Yeah. The team did incredible. You know, it went over like 9 in a row for a little stretch. So I got to go with those 3. And it's in regards to MVP, you can't go wrong with choosing Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers because they both had incredible seasons. So
if my brother's in here still watching this, he's TB12. That's his guy.
Oh, okay.
So hey, if he's still watching, but no, I mean, shoot, I've started off with a hate relationship with Brady, and I love the guy now. Like that's who I want to win it again. You know, why not? It's TV. But yeah, I probably have Brady, Rodgers, and then Joe Burrows, and then Herbert's opening some eyes, especially after that game the other night.
Yes, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. Once again, there's a lot of entertaining games that happened and some quarterbacks that showed up, and then there were some who choked under the pressure. Matthew Stafford. Excuse me.
Yes, I saw you on Twitter.
Oh my God. It's like he had the opportunity. He had the opportunity to shut down the naysayers, because one thing about him, he's a talented quarterback and he's much better than Jared Goff.
Yeah.
But he has that issue of holding the ball in the pocket too long or throwing that big pick six where the defense intercepts the ball and takes us all the way down for a touchdown. And as you saw in the game, they were in overtime and he threw an interception to end the game. And that could have helped the Rams to be a 2 seed, but now they like a 4 seed. So
I think it's like they're 3 and 4 or something with the Cardinals, I believe.
Yeah, something so like that. seeding matters in regards to the tournament. You know, you want to be able to have that home game here, or whatever, or the matchup could be better in your favor. But we shall see. But definitely was exciting, and I would definitely say once again, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, and we're good to go. Something else that had my attention, and I posted this on Twitter. And let me see. Shouts out to T-Bone. He said Stafford did my team a favor. Of course, because he loved the 49ers. That's his team.
That was the 49ers stadium on Sunday, though. I feel like you could barely see a Rams fan in that stadium.
And that's the karma. That's what Kroenke and them get.
And that quote from Stafford was just literally
like,
laughable. I laughed.
Your own home team, and you saying, we couldn't hear because it was so loud in there. It's like,
and your next game's going to be a playoff game.
It's like so certain things that you say and you don't say, and especially when you're in a market like LA, there's certain things you just can't just put out there. If you in Indianapolis or Jacksonville, that's different. But when you in a market like New York or LA or Green Bay, it is certain things you just can't say. And Stafford, you messed up, bro. But something else.
He was in Detroit his whole life. It's okay.
Yeah, he trying to get used to being in a winning environment. So,
Yeah.
but something else that had my attention that I had on Twitter, and that's in regards to college, NCAA, this transfer portal. Is it a gift and a curse? And yes, Mizzou football team and basketball team, they have been able to get some good guys from different teams to come in and play for them. But at the same token, not just Mizzou, but other colleges, players are so fast to leave and move on to a different team. And mainly because maybe some didn't go their way. And I feel like right now, and please, for everyone who's watching, give me your thoughts. Let me know how you feel about it. As much as I like seeing these kids have opportunities to choose, I also feel like the curse part of it is that it's not teaching kids how to handle adversity. So if something doesn't go right, or the coach doesn't play you how you feel, then it's like, well, something you working out harder or perfecting your craft or watching more tape and doing what's required to be a better person. You take the easy way out and say, you know what, I'm gonna go and see what's up at LSU or Texas Tech or whatever else, and see if I get a better opportunity there, except for trying to stick it out and stick to your commitment. Now people say, well, coaches leave all the time. So here's my solution. The transfer portal needs to have some type of guidelines, criteria, or whatever. So let's say if you go to Mizzou and you signed with, let's just say Gary Pinkel, okay? He recruited you, you agreed, you committed the whole nine. Let's say Gary Pinkel left, he retired, or he moved to a different school. That's when that player should have the opportunity to say, you know what, I committed because of this guy here. But because now he left, I'm going to go ahead and explore my options now. But not just leave because, I'm saying, oh, well, he ain't playing me as much as I'm playing, as much as I was told, or I'm not getting the clock, I ain't getting the PT, or, the NIL ain't kicking like I wanted to, the name, image, likeness thing. It needs to be guidelines. Don't just leave because something doesn't go your way and you move on forward. Be committed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about handling grown situations and making grown decisions. That's what college is all about. Whether it's in the schoolwork or whether it's a lifestyle, it's about making grown man decisions. So if you commit to something, stay at it. Don't just leave because shoot, they just bought another wide receiver, so I'm gonna go ahead and book it to New Mexico now because I may get more. No, learn to work harder and better because that's going to develop more character and knowing how to handle adversity. That's my biggest issue in regards to the transfer portal. Now, I have heard that some coaches, universities, whatever, may use a transfer portal themselves. Like, hey, they kind of like, ease that person out so they can bring in somebody else too. So that's something different. They may say, hey, you may not get no clock next year, so you may want to go ahead and, ease on out. So if that's the case, that's something totally different. But my thing is just about the student athlete in regards to handling adversity. Don't just leave because something didn't go your way in 1 year. Like, for instance, kind of Basilak from Mizzou. Now I saw it coming because his performance started to deteriorate at Mizzou. He wasn't that same guy that he was last year. And then once Brady Cook came in and started playing, especially during the bowl game, he already knew, oh, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? That's a wrap. But let's see what T-Bone says. Wait, why would you say that about college players not taking out an NBA player to do it too? Yes, many they are free agents, but that's the same principle. College kids have a finite time. But once again, you're comparing NBA players who are usually should be grown men to college athletes who are getting to that point. So that's a whole totally different thing. And then plus, once again, you said free agent. So that means that they don't have a contract. They don't have a commitment. It's a free agency. That's why it's called free agency. In regards to college, you committed to that school, and more than likely, especially if you are a star player, especially with the NIL deals coming, it's a commitment. But like I said, I just feel like it should be guidelines. Not saying it shouldn't be used at all, but it should be some type of certain guidelines, because it's like 1 minute you have a whole roster of a team. You're like, okay, here we go. And then next season, you can have a whole different roster. Like, for instance, for Mizzou basketball team, about 10 guys left last year. Some graduated, but some went to the transfer portal route. And that's something else, too, just to add on. It maybe if you're a senior, you're a fifth-year senior, you already graduated, that'll be another way to go ahead and transfer out, because you already did your 4 years or whatever. And now you are fifth-year senior or whatever it is, then that's cool. That's different. So, once again, one of the guidelines. But I just feel like let's not have these kids make these quick moves and decisions because something doesn't go your way. That's the biggest thing.
I was gonna say Mia, whenever she doesn't get her way, she screams and cries like a baby, and it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, and it comes from them being so spoiled when they were in high school. They were stars, they were rock stars. Mm-hmm. So no one told you no. It was like, oh yeah, do your thing, go out there, boom, it's all good. But then you get to a different level where someone doesn't know you like your high school coach did. And if you're not doing something good, you may not play like you thought you would. You may not get that clock that you thought you would. But that doesn't mean, oh, you know what, I'm gone and I'm gonna find somebody else. No, why don't you just stick it out and push yourself harder? You know what? Let me find out what I'm doing wrong and be better for it. That's all I'm saying. So once again, give us your thoughts. I love the feedback. Let's keep it going on the platform Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night sports delight. So something cool happened this past weekend, and I definitely want to get your opinion on this, Joe. But Golden State, Klay Thompson came back for the first time after like 600 or something days, and he played in 2 full seasons because of a ACL injury, actually to both knees, because his first, I think it was his right knee or whatever knee, one knee went out. Then he tried to come back and rehab. Then the other knee went out. But he finally came back this past weekend, and it was just a great moment for sports. I'll probably say I haven't been like the biggest Golden State fan, but this year coming to the season, I've been extra excited about the return of Klay Thompson, and then seeing how the team had been playing even before he came back, but now adding him on. And I remember I told you and Stan and Bunny, like, watch out for the Warriors. This team gonna be dangerous, and they are already one of the top 2 teams in the West. But in honor of Klay Thompson, has there been like another athlete that was maybe injured, or gone away for a while, that you were anticipating that return, that had you like, let's go, he's back or she's back?
From injury, not that I can think of, like anytime that Yachty for some reason gets hurt, that's always one that I like, gets me excited. But I mean, if you're just talking return from anything, Albert back in 2019, I was excited for that. But when it comes to injury, I can't think of anyone. I'll do a small one. When Alex Bregman came back from injury this year, I was excited for that. But yeah, I can't think of like another person like locally or anything.
Yeah, another person I could think of if I think about like an exciting return. I know Sharita and T-Bone will probably like this. We'll see. But Triple H in WWE.
Yeah. That was awesome. That was badass.
Yeah. So he was gone for like over a year or whatever, because he had like a torn tricep or bicep or something like that. And I think it was Raw in Madison Square Garden, and everyone was anticipating his return. And all of a sudden, the music came on, boom. And I mean, when I say, because I recall it like I was there, like it happened yesterday. I remember seeing it live myself on TV. And if I'm feeling a certain way in regards to the emotion and the goosebumps and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Triple H had to feel that adrenaline as well, being like, man, I'm back. Let's go.
Yep.
Here it is, whatever. And thank you, T-Bone. He says it was a quad, so I appreciate that.
I
But
mean, I
yeah,
can't imagine what's gonna be like when Trout comes back. Whenever we do get baseball,
right,
like he doesn't
right,
miss time like that, So, and then Angels fans got to be excited for hopefully having Rendon back, and then having Otani and Trout all in the same field together. That has to be
right.
exciting.
And going back real quick, T-Bone says, but isn't the transfer portal the same as free agency? Being in the transfer portal is like free agency. Yes, that part. But it's the part of you deciding to go into the transfer portal. That's the different part. So I hope that you can separate the two. So being in the portal, then yes, for you're a free agent, you can go anywhere you want to go. Totally different thing. But if the reason of you deciding to go to the portal, that's my thing. And yes, there is an investment in regards to a particular player or players in college. They may not say it, but it's definitely an investment. And Miss Williams says, like BB King said, don't make your move too soon. Hey, BB King, rest in peace. Blues legend right there. T-Bone says Alex Smith for sentimental reasons. And
Yeah, that was
I
cool.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. For those who ain't seen it, I'm sure it's on YouTube or whatever. But he had a gruesome leg injury. Then he came back and held things down for, I believe, was it for the Redskins he played for,
Hmm.
T-Bone?
Washington
Uh,
football team, Fred.
well, no.
Oh, is it
When he
out?
played, no. When
Oh.
he played, it was the Redskins, but
Oh,
now
okay.
it's the Washington football team. So I got to make sure I say it right. When he played,
Doesn't
it
that
was the Redskins.
weren't they supposed to reveal that this week, or am I missing
Uh,
something?
Pretty soon, I think they said the beginning of February they will
Oh,
have
okay.
the release of the name of the team. So
Okay.
we shall see. But yeah, Alex Smith, that was definitely one. And also, if y'all can recall, that college player from Louisville, niggas like names like Kevin Smith or something like that. But it was doing the NCAA tournament, and he went up for a shot or a rebound, and he landed, and his knee just buckled. No, I'm sorry, snapped.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was bad. And T-Bone corrected me. He says that it was the Washington football team. So my bad. Uh, but yeah, that team in Washington, they don't have a team name right now. But yeah, I think it was Kevin Smith, but he had a gruesome injury. Uh, it was pretty bad. No, not pretty bad. It was bad. And then he came back, I think maybe about a year or two later, and it was just a great moment. You know what I'm saying? To see him back after what you saw. Same thing with Gordon Hayward for the Boston Celtics at the time. His first game with the Celtics, they played against the Cavaliers. And he, boom,
Yeah, I remember
leg.
seeing that. It's
Woo,
disgusting. I
it's,
guess
it's,
ones you can talk about too is like Carlos Carrasco, cancer. Now he's pitching in the big leagues again. It's not like he wasn't pitching like he used to, but I mean, you overcome cancer and you come back and play the
yeah,
game that you've been playing. That's awesome. So I know there's a couple players I've done that in the big leagues.
yeah, I definitely agree. That was a great moment. And it was somebody else from the Orioles this
Oh, Trey
past year.
Mancini. Trey Mancini. Shoot, spring training, he got a standing ovation, I think, at a Orioles Yankees game, and that gave me chill bumps. And I know when he hit his first homer, same thing, and he got a standing O, and it's emotional that he had cancer throughout the COVID season, and can't imagine how crazy that was. So yeah, that was awesome, and he had a great year again.
Yes. So let's go back to some college. So this past Monday had the national championship, and Georgia defeated the almighty Alabama Roll Tide. They beat the Crimson Tide this past Monday. First three quarters, it was
A snooze
sluggish.
fest.
But at the same token, it just shows the skills. You know what I'm saying? That both teams had offense and defense. Like who's going to just grind it out and reach the top. You know what I'm saying? And I enjoy it. Of course, people want to see a touchdown probably every possession.
Mm-hmm.
But just seeing how hard it was for those two teams to finally score a touchdown, and then you get to that fourth quarter, and then you had crucial possession here, big touchdown here, big interception there, and to see Georgia to really bounce back from that SEC championship game loss against Alabama a few weeks prior, but maybe about a month or so prior to that. It was an incredible finish. So shouts out to Georgia. So with that being said, with them winning, does this change the landscape now? Will there be like a shift in college football atmosphere now that Georgia won? Because you know what they always say, when you win that one, like kind of like it opens up that door, like, you know what, now I know how to win. Now I know what it takes to win. So will this win that Georgia just had against Alabama, will this shift the landscape of college football, do you think? And with now you can't just say it's going to be Alabama, because now Kirby Smart and them boys down in Georgia, they know how to win now. So will this change everything you think in college football?
Maybe not in all of college football, but instead of that guy, in a small town that wants to go play for Alabama, maybe now he chooses Georgia. Some stud goes there instead. So, that's something that can happen throughout the entire atmosphere of the league. I don't know. I mean, it's still Nick Saban in Alabama, and they did lose their best receiver, which Randy Carricker
St.
tweeted.
Louis.
That's from St. Louis.
Jameson Williams.
So, and I think he's only a freshman, So, I mean, it probably is shift a little bit, due just because of recruitment, but I wouldn't say all the way. But I mean, congrats to Georgia, with the Braves winning the World Series and now them winning the NCAA championship. They're not going to win anything else this year, but that's pretty good.
But what's crazy, speaking of recruiting, Georgia, prior to them winning the national championship, the last 4-5 years, they've had like a top 5 recruiting class. I think a couple of years on the road, they had like the number 1 recruiting class. I think next year they had like the top recruiting class. So now that they won a championship, oh my goodness. Oh, wait a minute. Transfer portal.
Yep. Perfect timing.
There you go. You know what? Georgia just won. I might go ahead and see about them now. But yeah, I really feel that with Georgia winning, Kirby Smart, knowing how it feels to be a championship coach. It's kind of like what happened with Clemson. Remember when they won and Dabo Swinney, all of a sudden Clemson was a hotbed. Yep. From Deshaun Watson. Then you had who I call, Sunshine, Lawrence from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that team won, 2 championships out of like 4 or 5 years during that span. So their recruitment went up. But it is something different about when you win the title, when you win a championship. Seems like more doors open up. The expectations are that much greater for your university. So I look forward to seeing how the landscape will change, if it does at all, in regards to Georgia now that they finally won. So definitely stay tuned for that. Once again, this is your Wednesday Night Sports Light. I am your boy Smooth, along with
Jobo.
Keep on sharing. Let everybody know what's going on in regards to your Wednesday Night Sports Light. Our special guest will be with us very soon. We are definitely excited. Look forward to getting into this man's life and his upbringing and everything from when he was a young one to what he's doing now on your Wednesday Night Sports Light. So let's get right back into football talk. So playoffs start this weekend. For the first time ever, we'll have a playoff game played on Monday night. Let's check out this playoff bracket. So in the AFC, number 1 seed, the Tennessee Titans, and Derrick Henry will be back. So that's going to be huge for the Titans.
Yeah,
number 2 seed, the Chiefs will face off against Big Ben and the 7th seed Steelers. The number 3 and 6 seed will be the third time these two teams have met in the season. And for what I'm hearing, it's going to be another cold game, Joe. Temperatures in single degrees, wind chill factor around 0 or -0. for the Bills and the Patriots game. Then you have the Bengals and the Raiders. That should be a very interesting game. The Raiders Derek Carr first time, should I say, in the playoff game. The Raiders been in Las Vegas for 2 seasons now. Then you got the Bengals finally making their appearance back into the playoffs. Then you go to the NFC side. Number 1 seed, the Packers. As you see, both number 1 seeds in both leagues, or should I say conferences, they are taking a bye. But then you have the Buccaneers, number 2 seed, and number 7 seed Eagles. Number 3 seed Cowboys and T-Bone Funk's 49ers. Then you have 4 and 5 with their third time meeting up, the Rams and the Cardinals. In the wild card round, of course, the Raiders and the Bengals play on Saturday. Same thing with the Patriots and the Bills. So you have those 2 games there. Then on Sunday, you have a triple header, Eagles and Buccaneers, 49ers and Cowboys, Steelers and the Chiefs. Then Monday Night Football, playoff round edition, Cardinals and the Rams. So as you see on the bottom, Joe, what team, or should I say teams, one in the AFC, one in the NFC, can just shock the world and make it all the way to the Super Bowl?
Bring that up again. I got my picks, but I'm trying to think who I can see it facing. All right, well, Packers and Bucks are going to be a doozy of a game, but I'm going to go with Tom Brady. And let's go. I don't want to say a repeat of last year, but I feel like that's what's going to happen. So let's be fun and put the Bengals in there. We'll say Bucks and Bengals.
So you feel the Bucks will go ahead and go all the way, and then the Bengals. So,
and I did say this year, you remember, before the season started, that about the Cardinals, but the Cardinals been kind of shaky as of late, and they didn't play good against a bad team on Sunday. So I don't know, and they got injuries, obviously. So yeah, I'm gonna switch it to Tom Brady.
Well, and the good thing about the Cardinals now is that J.J. Watt came back, so he's healthy. So that's a huge addition for the defense. And it's very possible, depending on what happens next Monday, that their star receiver may come back. And that's, oh, Lord, I forgot his name already. DeAndre Hopkins. He should be possibly coming back as long as they keep winning. So that'll be a huge addition. Maybe that'll kind of bring some different energy and confidence to the team to hopefully play better. Hopefully for the Rams fan, they probably saying no, lose, I ain't got to worry about it. But for those who are Cardinal fans, I would definitely say that they are definitely excited for the possibility of having DeAndre Hopkins come back.
Is Jalen Hurts gonna be back?
Jalen Hurts, he never left.
Well, no, I thought he didn't play on Sunday to rest his ankle or something like that. So making sure that he's good to go.
I have not heard of anything in regards to him not playing.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said Jalen Hurts. I'm thinking about Jalen Ramsey. My bad.
Oh no, Jalen Hurts. Yeah, the
Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything. More than likely, because I have not heard any news or seen anything that he's going to play. T-Bone says 49ers and Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. He says part 2. My 2 teams, my sleeper team. After what I've seen on Sunday, I'm going to go ahead and say, don't be surprised if the 49ers, and I know T-Bone like, woo! Yes!
I mean, that was a fun game to watch. I'm not going to lie. That was fun. That was a loud, awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, I would definitely say, just from what I saw, and Jimmy G is back, I love what Deebo Samuel was doing. The team has an incredible defense. And once again, Jimmy G is back. I would not be shocked if the 49ers make it to the Super Bowl again. I won't say the Chiefs, because this is like, once again, a shocker, like a who would have saw it coming type question. The Bengals. You brought up Joe Burrow earlier in regards to top 3 quarterbacks. Like I said, he's right there. He brings a different moxie. organization isn't the same like it was when they had the previous head coach. Like that was a whole mess right there. But I like the way this team is playing. They can sneak around and surprise some people. It's all about the matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So this not saying it's gonna happen, but this is like a who can surprise, who can be like that. What? Oh my goodness, wait a minute. This team here is for real. Don't be surprised about the Bengals and the 49ers. Not saying it's gonna sell in regards to the Super Bowl. I'm sure people ain't saying, "Oh, I want to see the Bengals,"
Yeah.
Whatever. But just don't be surprised. They
That'd
could be
probably
a
be one
team.
of the lower I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but the lowest numbers around the nation probably out of all those teams on there for sure.
Right, in regards to ratings.
Yeah, ratings. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, feel free to give us your thoughts, your comments, your questions in regards to anything sports related on your Wednesday night sports delight. The last thing that I want to discuss real quick, the NBA. The season has been pretty interesting, kind of like hockey, Joe. A lot of teams have dealt with COVID issues. Teams getting, y'all talked about it last week on Ladies' Night.
I'm still mind blown by this.
Players getting 10-day contracts and this and that going here, then getting released, going to a different team, getting released, whatever. But as I go over the standings right now in the Western Conference, the number 1 seed, Phoenix Suns, holding things down. The Golden State Warriors are number 2. Utah Jazz, number 3. But this team here has my attention also, and it's led by Ja Morant. Memphis Grizzlies. Watch out for that team. They are hungry. They currently have a 10-game winning streak. They just beat Golden State the other night. But Ja Morant and that team, man, they are fun to watch. They getting it. And they're in a tough conference in the West. But they are playing amazing, and they are right now in the 4th seed. Even Stephen A. Smith said, you know what? You got my attention now. My eyes are open. This team can be a threat. And I like what they're doing right now in the West. The number 5 seed, the Mavericks. Number 6, the Nuggets. Number 7, the Lakers. Number 8, the Clippers. Then in the East, you have the Bulls. I know Stan, Joe, is super excited. That's his team. They doing good. They have a 2.5 game lead over the Brooklyn Nets. Shouts out to my wife, Jamie. She loves Durant. So, of course, no matter what team Durant's on, she don't support. So her team is Brooklyn, even though she also loves Golden State as well. Number 3 seeds the Heat, 4 the Bucks, 5 the 76ers, 6 the Cavaliers, 7 the Hornets, 8 the Raptors. So that's the NBA season as of right now. Playoff season starts around May, June area. So they ain't looking up. All-Star weekend will be here in about a month. So it's looking up right now in the NBA. This the main thing is like with hockey, staying healthy. COVID has definitely affected a lot of teams, but get people healthy and ready. Some entertaining ball is coming. Has that been a team for you, Joe, that, I know you don't follow the NBA a whole lot, but anything that stood out at all in regards to the NBA?
No, not at all.
Nope.
You know me. It's funny. It's me and Brendan were just talking about this the other day. Is like, if you could just watch one sport that you don't have any relation to, like, with us in the Cardinals, what sport do you enjoy most watching the playoffs, even if you don't have a team in it? And I was sitting there and I can make a case for all of them, and I was like, basketball, it's not that exciting to me. I don't know. It's tough for me with basketball. I had to really like someone. Like, I like watching Trae Young and Tatum and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't have a team, and I'm not very knowledgeable about basketball.
Well, the good thing is that's what you have the platform sports talk show for. So
I could talk about the other stuff. I feel like I've been holding my ground with football, but NBA I could talk here and there, but current stuff not that great.
Yes. So for those once again who are now tuning in, thank you very much. Keep them shares going. We have an incredible show with an incredible guest. I believe he's ready. But before I do that, got to give a shout out one more time. Promoting for the Ladies Night Season 2 starts next month. Sharita and the return of Bunny as well. Of course, Joe and Annie, the ladies are ready for Season 2. It's going down. You see the new logo, the new branding. Big things going on for Ladies Night on the platform Sports Talk Show. And the ladies have been holding things down. But I thought about this. I'm like, you know what? It's time for the men to show up. So starting in March the 30th, we will have the debut of the Man Cave every last Wednesday of the month, starting in March. So March 30th, get ready. You're going to have a panel of men holding things down. Stay tuned so you can find out who is going to be on that panel. It's going to be amazing. The Man Cave starting in March, and I'm definitely excited for it. It's going to be fun. We're going to get it in on your Wednesday night Sports Delight. So now, Joe, I think it's about that time. You ready?
Yeah.
It's time to bring in our special guest. This man here, he is a former St. Louis Cardinal player and Royals pitcher. He also won something that Manfred calls, what do you call it, Joe?
A hunk of metal or something like that. Can't stand that guy.
He won one of those way back in, what year was that, Joe?
06.
There we go. He is the co-host of the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. He's also a Cardinals analyst on Bally Sports Midwest. This guy here, if you haven't seen the post now, I call him self-proclaimed the mouthpiece of the loop. This man here, he definitely has to get the gab. He definitely has the wit to him, but he always just has things to say, and it's very cool. It's very informative. It's very funny. He knows his stuff, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have this man here hold things down, and look forward to getting his story told on your Wednesday night Sports Delight. Without any further ado, we now bring along the one and only, and I mean the one and only, Brad Thompson. What is going on?
What's going on, Smoooth? Joe, thanks for having me, guys. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, man, we are doing well. Joe?
Yeah, doing really well. Very excited to have you on the show tonight.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Joe, by the way, I can break down basketball with you because that's about my knowledge, too. Like I haven't dug as deep. I know if St. Louis had a team, and I know if St. Louis had the A team, people would be in, and I would be in for sure, too. But I feel like I've only got so many sports I can dedicate like all my knowledge to, and the NBA has just not been that one yet.
Hey.
Yep, that's how I am. Like, I'm gonna be all in on soccer, because
For sure,
I don't know everything
here, right?
about it. But yeah, it's gonna be here. I'm gonna support it. It's St. Louis, but same thing with basketball. If that happened, I would support it and try to learn as much as possible.
Right, most definitely. So, Brad, I just want to say right now, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy man, so thank you very much for taking time out to be on the Platform Sports Talk Show.
No, I appreciate you having me. I know, hey, look, I did my research before this, too, and I talked to my buddies over at 101 ESPN. I know you have my co-host, Anthony Stalter, on. I know you also had Alex Ferrario on, and they said you guys are great. So, look, if you got their stamp of approval, I'm excited to join.
Cha-ching. And then
Yep.
2 weeks ago, we had Randy Carricker on.
You had Randy on, too?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome.
Yes.
Hey, Randy and I, obviously, I started doing the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN, and Randy Carricker was, the first guy I worked with. He and DeMarco Farr. Now Randy has moved to the mornings. Randy and I are two ships passing in the night now. We used to see each other every day, spend hours together, and now He's working in the morning. I'm working in the evening. I don't get to see my Randy anymore, so I'm sure you guys had a great conversation with him.
Oh
He had good
yes,
things
and
to say about you too.
I was
Talking
saying the
about
same
how,
thing.
for like only one interview, and he told them right away, like, you're the guy for the show. So yeah, he had a lot of good, nice things to say about you.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I tell you what, Randy, and you guys know how this business is, this industry is. You learn a lot watching people and learning from people. And Randy Carricker, man, he's helped me so much just doing what I do, watching him do the ins and outs. I mean, the guy's a pro. He's a legend in the St. Louis scene. I was very, very lucky, very fortunate to be able to be around him, work with him, and still, like, if I have any questions or he listens to the show, he'll send me something and say, hey, about this, what about that? He's always helping out.
Yeah, and then I would say it puts me in the mindset of a Bob Costas, having so many great stories to share, similar to Mike Claiborne, who we also had on the show before too. Just being able to have the years of knowledge and experience, and to be able to just have a story mode for it's a story mode in your system to tell us about what they've been through, what they've seen, their favorite moments, etc. So it's definitely an honor to have guys like yourself, Randy, and as you said before, Stalter, Ferrario. We even had Kevin Wheeler on a couple years back. So people like you make this show even better, and we hope to continue going on and doing what we do here on the platform Sports Talk Show.
No, I appreciate what you guys do, and this community is very fortunate with all the names that you're talking about that love St. Louis sports and love being a part of it. So, hey, that's one thing that people are getting the disagreements left and right. And you'll get your sports disagreements, right? But politics, religion, like everybody butts heads with stuff. Sports, we're all here to have some fun, so that's what it's all about.
Exactly. And like with this show, there's nothing wrong with having different opinions. We're going to all still be respectful and love each other after it's all said and done. I mean, I like what you said, but we're going to still have a good time with it. That's what it's all about, though. So with that being said, we usually have our first question. So, Joe, the floor is yours.
Yeah, first question usually is, when would you say you fell in love with sports?
Probably right around 5 years old. Maybe it wasn't all sports. When I first started playing baseball, is kind of when I fell in love with it. I will tell you though, it wasn't my first t-ball game ever that I fell in love with it, because I remember being to the point where, like, I was probably just really nervous, right? Game ever. And actually it might even been the first practice that I ever did t-ball, 5 years old, and did it and told my parents afterwards that I wanted to quit. Said, it's not for me. I don't want to play. And my parents said, all right, well, if you want to quit, you got to tell the coach. You tell him next practice, you come up, tell him you don't want to do it anymore. And I started talking to the coach, and the coach said, hey, why don't you practice today and see how you feel? So I practiced again, and I started loving the game. It kept wanting to come back. So if that coach would have just said, yeah, go ahead, beat it, I don't think I'd be joining you here today. But like since then, since I was 5 years old, all I did was play baseball up until 8 years ago. I've been doing the radio gig full time, but I was playing up until then. And my love for sports grew. As a young kid, I grew up in Las Vegas, so we didn't, at the time, there wasn't a professional team. The Raiders weren't there, obviously. You didn't have the Golden Knights there, but we had UNLV basketball. And that's kind of what I grew up on. I remember going to UNLV basketball games. That was, Jerry Tarkanian, Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony. I mean, you remember those teams, man. They were unbelievable. That was kind of baseball was the intro, UNLV basketball, and just, man, sports in general. I just, fell in love early and just continue to grow in my love of the sports.
Most definitely. So outside of baseball, was there like another sport that you gravitated to, or was it just strictly baseball?
Yeah, from a playing wise, this might shock you looking at this little specimen here. No, I wasn't good at much. No, there wasn't much else. I used to, like everybody else, right? We had a hoop in the front yard, and every day after school have buddies over and play basketball. But from a competitive level, it was baseball. I played like a year or two, not even 2 years, 1 year of boys and girls club basketball, and I enjoyed it. But baseball was always the thing that just kind of I gravitated towards. So from a viewing standpoint, a little bit of everything, but from a playing standpoint, it was just baseball, which might be shocking.
And then with you being, like you said before, born and raised in Las Vegas and then playing baseball, wouldn't the weather/climate be pretty interesting, playing outside and the weather be as dry as it could be out there in Vegas?
Yeah, well, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you growing up, like that's kind of all you knew. When we would play, especially as I got older. I mean, you're playing all so long. I remember high school playing, tournaments where you're playing 3 games a day, and it feels like you're out in a blow dryer because it's 100 degrees and windy out. But there's benefits of it too, and there's that kind of risk versus reward thing now. I think we're getting a little bit smarter of how we use some of our athletes, not especially pitchers, right? Not throwing all year long. But you get to play all year, Right now, my son's playing youth baseball, which I love being able to help out with that stuff. It's cold out. We're not outside taking ground balls. They're inside in little gyms and stuff. In Vegas, you're able to be there all the time. I don't think that there's a big shock when you see guys coming out of Vegas, whether it's your Bryce Harbors or Chris Bryant, Joey Gallo. There's a lot of talent coming out of the area, and a lot of it is just because look, you get to be here. You get to play a lot. It's been a little bit of a hotbed over the years.
And you mentioned earlier how you thought about quitting the game, but then you was told, talk to your coach, tell them. So let's talk about the influence of your parents and family as a young athlete. Say little Brad, the young athlete. How would you say the influence of your parents meant to you?
Yeah, they're everything, man. They were absolutely everything. They were supportive, and to this day, my parents listen to the radio show all the time. They watch all the games that I do. I talk to them every day on my drive home. I got about a 45-minute commute, and I'm always talking to folks on the way home. But as a young athlete, they were always there. Like if there was a game to go to, they were there. I can't remember, my folks missing a game that I ever, throughout my childhood, missing a game. My dad would work hard every single day. He'd be up at 4 a.m, go to work, get home, and be there. Young Brad out there. You ready to play catch? And he's tired. He's worn out, but he always said yes. And look, it does happen, right? It doesn't happen without at least for me, without the support of my parents, without them being there, supportive every step along the way. If I needed something for baseball. We weren't incredibly wealthy growing up, but if I needed something baseball, it was there because they knew I loved it, and they knew that I would take care of it, and I appreciated it, and I appreciate them every step along the way. It is cool now, kind of seeing that from the parent standpoint. Now I'm doing the things that my dad was doing. I get home from work, my little man wants to play. I try to do as much as possible. My hours are a little bit different. My summer's a little bit different with baseball stuff, but I'm just excited to watch kind of now my son's love of the game grow, and hopefully other sports too. I want to get him involved in a lot of things, but that's if you're a parent and you have kids and you have the ability, and I know work gets in the way, and I know there are a lot of things pulling us different directions, but if you support it as much as you can, I know for me it meant the world.
Most definitely. And now that we're in this part in life where a lot of people or parents are encouraging kids to, play multiple sports. When you look back at it now, do you feel that you should have played maybe multiple sports? And then now, are you having your kids do the same thing? Yeah,
so I just never showed that other interest. Really, like I said, I tried to play a little bit of basketball. I was never into soccer. Football I didn't gravitate towards. So I don't have the regrets of not playing other sports, mainly because I don't feel like I left much athletically on the table, right? I don't feel I could have, if I'd have just played soccer, that would have been it for me. But my kids, man, I want them to do a bunch of different things, and I want them to find out what they love to do. So my son right now is really into baseball. I think he's good at soccer though. And for me, stress level wise, guys, I love that he plays soccer because I don't know what's happening. I don't know if he's doing something good or if he's doing something bad, so it doesn't stress me out. The baseball stuff stresses me out a little bit. My daughter's into dance. She's into ballet. She's into gymnastics. She's showing a little bit. She's only 5 years old, but she's showing that she likes maybe golf a little bit because she's been smacking balls around this basement. So I want them to do everything. I want them to find out what they like, what they're into, and I hope to be able to give them the opportunity to do those things because I know it's not easy to play a bunch of different sports. It's hard to, travel different places and get kids everywhere. But if we have the opportunity to do it with our kiddos, I would love to, as long as they show an interest in it.
Nice. So what high school, this is the famous St. Louis question, what high school did you go to?
Yeah, so it's not asked as much in Vegas, what high school you went to, but I mean, it's a great landmark, right? What area are you from? So I went to a school called Cimarron Memorial High School, and look, there's so many high schools out in Vegas. I mean, I think they're probably up to 50 or 60 or so of them now, but yeah, Cimarron Memorial High School. We were the Spartans, and look, I wasn't. I always tell people this too, like playing baseball, you make it to the big leagues. Usually the story's the same, isn't it? It's like, oh, okay, well, he was the kid on his little league team, and he was the best kid on his high school team, and this, that, and the other. That was not my story. Like every along the way, I was never that best player. You know, I didn't even start pitching really until the summer of my senior year. I think I had 6 innings my senior year of high school. That was about it. The summer in Legion ball, summer ball, I got to pitch and just got lucky enough to get myself a scholarship to a little junior college, Dixie State College, it was called at the time. So it's one of those things I always tell kids, whatever, if you're playing, if you enjoy it, if you work your butt off, you never know what might happen. That's kind of been the story of my entire career. What high school did you go to, by the way?
You go ahead first, Joe.
I went to a little school. It's Hancock. It's in Lime area, Telegraph around there. So yeah, Hancock.
Okay.
Yep, and
what about you,
proud. I'm a proud alumni of Vashon High School. The V, baby.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's my pride and joy right there. So going back to your time in high school, the first time that you got on the baseball field, were the nerves, or were you already at a point where you feel like, you know, I'm already kind of established, now let's get better? What was your overall take in regards to starting off in high school and playing baseball?
Yeah, so I started out freshman and sophomore year playing junior varsity, but like I always feel like for me, there's always some sort of nerves, like whether it was from T-ball, obviously that first one where I didn't want to go back to the second one and did, through the big leagues. Like there's always something there, but I always, and maybe I just say this to like make myself feel better, I feel like if you're not nervous about something, care. Like there's something there, right? There's something, but it's about not letting that consume you. If that ends up consuming you, that's where you get into a little bit of trouble. But I always just wanted to learn more, and I wanted to do more. And kind of a character trait of mine is like I never felt like I wanted to let anybody down or let myself down. So like through high school, you know, being on JV the first couple of years, finally getting onto the varsity team my junior year, it was just work, and it was like year-round work too. I mean, it was intramurals. So again, in Vegas, you're playing all year long. High school baseball season is still the spring, but they had you practicing the entire time. But I love it, and stuff like that, you know, I miss to this day. But I always had a little bit of nervousness. But the funny thing is, like, the nervousness is like building up to an event. I never have that nervousness or never had that nervousness in a moment, if that makes sense. You know, it's kind of like the lead up, like before the game, you got the jitters. But then when I got on the mound as a professional, or if I'm playing third base in high school, or I'm in an at bat that's a one, which I was not a very good hitter either. But I never had those nerves in those moments, but it was the buildup.
And then Joe, I know you can attest that you can promote yourself right here, because she was a all-world softball player in high school. She was a catcher. So like after Yachty, you got Joe.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. Yeah, if Yachty goes down, we're well taken care of.
Yeah.
So what made you gravitate towards being a catcher? Because I always found that catchers, they got something special. The fact that you'll be able to get hit by a ball and just keep coming back for more. Joe, I caught one time in a game. And every single time a hitter would swing, I would close my eyes. Yeah, and that's hard to catch a ball like that. I was getting peppered off the chest. Like, forget that. What made you do that?
Well, I think it was like first, second grade, the coach just asked everyone on the team if they wanted to do it, and no one wanted to do it. So I just volunteered, and then I fell in love with it, honestly. And it's funny you say that. I do think, because I watched Yachty, he closes his eyes in between those, those pitches as well. I think it's just, habit. And I guess if you're good at it, you don't drop it. But yeah, no, I loved catching. We talked about, gear and stuff, like you said, with your parents. It's not cheap playing sports. Christmas gifts. That would be my present is, getting new catcher's gear, and I would work for a new catcher's glove every year and this and that. But yeah, I just loved it. Played all the way up until my freshman year in college. Played at Merrimack. But yeah, I miss it. But right now my knees are killing me, so I can't even imagine what Yachty goes through every night.
Yeah, that guy is something special, man. He's unreal. To see him still doing what he's doing. I mean, 18 years now in the big leagues, the beating that he takes. And that's the thing, like we see on TV now, and if I'm doing the broadcast, you just watching at home as a fan, like you'll see the foul tip that he takes. You'll see the one where it catches him off the shoulder, if he gets one off the knee or gets a worse one. Like you'll notice it. You'll see it on TV. You don't see like the little ones, you know what I mean? Like he just takes a collective beating. You'll see him after a game, he'll have stuff wrap all over the place, and any normal human being would say, Skip, I need a day. Like, give me a day off. And he's in the office fighting to play every single day. I love that. I respect that. I love that dude so much. The work ethic, everything that he throws into it. I hope this is one of those years. Because, I mean, who knows? He might play 5 more years. But it could be in Wayno's last year, right?
Knowing him. Right.
Yeah, exactly. But we're all kind of expecting this to be him and Wayno's last year. It's a deep run year. Like these guys, and I'm not saying it's World Series or bust, although, that'd be nice. But their careers, what they've done and what they've done at the highest level, that story can end in September, right? Like that story's got to end in October chasing something special.
Deep in October too.
and I know that we'll get to the Cardinals and current day pretty soon, but as you just saying, baseball to me doesn't feel right if there's not no Red October. It feels like something is missing if the Cardinals are not in there some way, somehow. Just like Alabama, you expect to see Alabama in the playoffs. People, especially St. Louis, if you know, but there's no real postseason October without the Cardinals being somewhere in there.
What did that 3-year drought feel like? I mean, remember, it wasn't that long ago. It was 3 years in a row. The Cardinals weren't in the postseason, and it felt like a decade. Like it felt like, and that's just how much we've been used to since the early 2000s and the entire history of the organization. But there's been a lot of success over the last 15 years or so. Like it felt like forever. And you're right, it's a different feeling, it's a different vibe, and the whole city is buzzing about it. And that's what I love about St. Louis, and I love about the fans, and I love just about everybody is so into it, growing up in Vegas. And I think that this is starting to evolve a little bit now that they have some pro teams and they support the Knights really well. They're supporting the Raiders really well. They got a WNBA team. They got the Aces in town that they support really well. I think that we're starting to see more of those like conversation or sports related. But I love being able to go to the store, see somebody with a Cardinal hat on, and you strike up a conversation. Like you have an instant friend right there. But in October, it's just different. That feel, and as a player, that feel is different too. Baseball, the game is the same. It's the same all season long, but everything feels different in October. I'll never forget the first time getting the chance to pitch in the playoffs, the Padres in 2005, and I threw a strike, just the first strike that I had thrown in the game. And I hadn't walked 10 people first. Okay, this wasn't like a Bronx cheer, like, oh my gosh, hit it. It was just a normal strike, and the place starts going crazy. That's just how intense the playoffs are. I got goosebumps thinking about those moments. That's what it's about.
Right. So going back to your high school years, what was the highest level of achievement that your teams had success in?
Man, we made some decent runs in the playoffs. Never won state for the regular season. Our team did win my senior year. We won state and went on to regionals in American Legion ball, so the summer ball. But we had a few juggernauts that would run into all the time. A couple of high schools in Vegas that were really good back in the day. Green Valley was one of them. Bishop Gorman is a powerhouse nowadays. You might turn on ESPN every once in a while, see Bishop Gorman playing football. It is a bit of a powerhouse in every sport. That's where Joey Gallo went to school. But you got a lot of talent out there. It's kind of hard to run the gamut. But yeah, we never made it to the promised land. And again, I was like never the guy to lead us there. I was just always playing third base, here and there. We had a lot of guys on our team that were studs. I was just fortunate enough to make it past the high school level and keep playing.
Right. And I was going to say earlier, Joe, about when you mentioned catching, and I know Brad said that he just did one game and catch. I was primarily a shortstop and third baseman, and I was asked one game to be a catcher. And my God, the respect I have for catchers, because like you said, Brad and Joe, you get that one, eyes closed. But I was always looking forward, because I always had a strong, accurate arm. So I always look forward to someone trying to steal off me. And I'm like, hey, you try to steal, I'm also get straight up do a yachty on you, and get you out. But that was my only time I did catcher. I think that's when I started having bad knees too, though. But still,
just that one game.
Man, that one game. But yeah, being a catcher, man, definitely I have respect for anyone who decides to be a catcher, because that position there, it takes a whole lot.
And it's funny you mentioned the dings you take. It's the ones whenever you see Yachty let the glove loose, the ones on your thumbs and your hand right there on that fat pad.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the absolute worst. Like you could barely hold your phone whenever you heard something like that. So and for him to continue in those games, he's a bad A. That's all we can say about Yachty. He's the GOAT. He's the guy in St. Louis.
Joe, I don't have statistical research to back this up, but I'm guessing that about 95% of catchers, the way they got into it is exactly like you did. Like, nobody wants to do it? What the heck? I guess I'll do it. And then they're stuck. Like, I know just watching like youth baseball, helping the last couple of years with my son, like it's the first kid that raises their hand to catch. Dude, you're the catcher now. Like, sorry, you said you could do it, and now you just stand back there and knock them down because it's your job now.
Yep, that's it. So, high school, you said you won state. How would you describe the recruiting process for you? Were you heavily recruited? How did that process go for you?
Smoooth, if I had to pick a word for the recruiting process for me, I would say quiet. It was quiet, very quiet. So I told you I didn't really itch until like the summer of my senior year. So, I mean, I'm out of school. I'm graduated. And I started really pitching and had a coach, volunteer coach, turned out to be, he was a major league agent at the time, but he just volunteered coach. And he's like, hey, man, what if we drop down sidearm? Like, get sidearm, start throwing, and maybe you'll catch somebody's attention. Maybe we can catch on with somebody. Because I had a good arm, but what's different, right? So I dropped down, I'm throwing sidearm, and I got drafted throwing from, this arm angle right here. But we did that, and I got the opportunity to walk on if I wanted to, right? They said I could walk on and try out at the Community College of Southern Nevada. And that's the school where Bryce Harper went, right? Bryce Harper went there. And about 2 weeks before school started, I had pitched in a tournament up in St. George, Utah at Dixie State College, a tournament, for Legion. And I pitched real well, and the coach there had seen me. And I get a call about 2 weeks before school was going to start and said, hey, we just had a drop out of a scholarship. Would you be interested in coming up here to Dixie State? And I talked to my folks, and I was like, yeah, I would absolutely be interested in going up there. And it was a scholarship. It was going to pay for my schooling. I would be on the hook for some room and board, which thank goodness for my folks again, right, coming to the rescue, because I didn't have any money at all. And they made that happen, because if they didn't, again, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. But I took it. And I remember going into the office of the head coach at College of Southern Nevada. And I said, hey, coach, I just want to let you know I appreciate the opportunity that you were going to give me here. But I've been offered a scholarship at Dixie State, and I'm going to take that. And I still remember, and I like the guy, he's a good guy. But he looked at me, he said, you weren't going to make this team. You're going to play at Dixie State. Good luck. I said, all right, well, I'm going to go give it a whirl. And then, I went and played there, and the rest is history. It ended up a very good decision for me. But the recruiting process out of high school, it was quiet. It was very quiet. After my freshman year of JUCO at Dixie State, I pitched really well. We went to the Junior College World Series, Grand Junction. I pitched a lot there, made the all-tournament team there. And then I started getting some schools calling and ended up actually coming back. I signed with UNLV because I come home, live at home, make some money with my stipend and my scholarship. And so I had signed there after my sophomore year, but then ended up getting drafted by the Cardinals instead, and decided to pursue that. When I had another coach tell me it was the worst idea that one of the worst decisions I'll ever make in my life is signing pro. But here we are again, bet on yourself if you want to.
Hey, I love that story. And you know what? One of your favorite songs should be Look at Me Now. Hey, look at me now. Hey. I love it.
But you guys know how that is. Like somebody's going to be doubting you, and kids, adults, I don't care like what phase of life you're in. Somebody's not going to believe in something that you can do. Somebody's not going to think that you have a skill that you believe is in you. But if you believe it's there, and if you have the passion to pursue it, if you care enough to go after it, then go after it. Like what's the worst thing that happens? You fail? Like, okay, well, we can fail all the time. Like, the last thing that I wanted, and I still want in my life, like right now, I don't want to wonder what if. I don't want to wonder like, oh man, what if I'd have worked harder, or what if I would have taken that one opportunity that was there? Like, I don't want that, and that's something that I kind of want to instill in my children too. Is be ready for those opportunities and don't leave anything behind. You got a chance to do something, do it. You believe in yourself, believe in it. I think that stuff's important, and it's easy to not do things. Sometimes it's harder to go after them. I like doing that.
So I'm glad that you brought it up in regards to just the process from high school to college and then getting drafted. Where were you and what was your emotion when you heard that you were getting drafted by the Cardinals?
Yeah, so I was back home in Vegas. I remember watching the draft, and they didn't have big shows like they do now. MLB Network, they do it up, they do a job now. I was just watching it, scrolling on the internet, right? It was like round one, ding, this player, round two. Now, I knew I didn't have to watch round one or two or the top 10 very much, but maybe there was a chance a little bit later that I would end up getting drafted. And I remember being there, and I had a teammate in college, shortstop. His name was Kyle Boyer, and Kyle actually got drafted by the Cardinals, same draft as I did. He got drafted in the 4th round. So Manny Guerra, rest in peace, passed away a couple of years ago, was the scout of the area. Manny Guerra, like Manny was baseball. Him and Carl Castle, who's a scout for the Rangers, in that area in Vegas, in Southern on their like quadrant there. I mean, they were just, they were baseball. Like they were just, you talk about storytellers, right? You're talking about Andy Carricker and talking about Mike Claiborne and how lucky we are in the St. Louis scene. They were that for baseball in the Vegas area. But Manny Guerra ended up, putting in a good word for me, and remember getting the call from the Cardinals, say, hey, this is the St. Louis Cardinals. It was the area scout, and said, we're thinking about taking you. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, no, I'd be very, very interested. They drafted me in the 16th round. And I just remember just the family being so excited when I ultimately did the decision, because it wasn't an easy decision to forego college, right? Because I had my 2 more years at UNLV that was going to be totally paid for, so I'd had education done. I would have actually, as far as like the scholarships go, I would have made more money in college than I made in A-ball, which is that bit of a problem now that you think about it. And I think that's starting a little bit better. As far as paying minor league players, but it was a big decision. But it was one at the end of the day that said, I can go back to school if I want to, but I might not ever get this opportunity to go play baseball again, right? Be a professional. So I ended up taking that opportunity, and I'm so glad that I did. But it wasn't like an easy decision. And also, even after I made the decision, guys, before I even show up to my first spring training, I'm doing like workouts and stuff in the off season, getting for spring training. And then I blow out my back. I'm 23 years old, 21 years old, having back surgery before I show up to my first training. So they probably were not super excited when I got there buying damaged goods. They already paid for a surgery for me, more than my signing bonus, I'm sure.
Right.
But hey, stuck with it.
Man, that's crazy. I wouldn't know how to act if I'm just out doing something and all of a sudden I get a call from the Cardinals. So with that being said, was there like a team of yours that before you got drafted by the Cardinals that you always had your eye on or that you always followed that was like your favorite team?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Growing up again in Vegas, didn't have that one rooting interest, so I followed players. And I think that every kid around my age, we had some of the same favorite players. Ken Griffey Jr. If you didn't like Ken Griffey Jr., get out of here. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the kid, forget it. So you watch it. I'm watching him. And that was a surreal moment, getting an opportunity to actually face him for the first time. It was crazy. But I also loved Greg Maddux, and Greg Maddux is a local boy from Las Vegas. And fortunate for me, get home from school. Well, a couple of the channels we had, WGN had the Cubs game, so I'd watch some Cubs games. Greg Maddux, and when he was with the Braves, I got to see him on TNT. So those games were always on. So kind of like gravitated towards him. Never found myself being a Braves or a Cubs fan, but always a Greg Maddux fan. And then I don't know how it happened, probably just because, home runs are cool and this team great. But I found myself big into the Bash Brothers as a kid, too. I had that poster of Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire looking like the Blues Brothers sitting on the front of the car. I remember having that one, too. So I bounced around to a lot of different teams, but mainly just followed players.
Do you remember what happened in your first at-bat against Griffey?
Yeah, of course I remember what happened in the first at-bat against Griffey. He ended up grounding out to second base. But I got to go back and I got to find the video of it, because I swear I must have been smiling ear to ear as he gets announced. Because I'm standing on the mound. It's like, now batting Ken Griffey Jr. Really? It's running through my head, and you guys know exactly the card I'm talking about. I'm like, man, I wonder if he'll sign my Upper Deck rookie card. That was a gold. You had that one as a kid. You didn't have to work again. Like, that was going to be your retirement right there. And like, that was one of the first thoughts I had is, man, I wonder if he'll sign that. Now, the Griffey that I faced wasn't the Mariners Griffey, right? Yeah, I faced the Reds Griffey later in his career. But not when I tell my kids that story. He was in prime. He was the best player on earth. Go look at his plaque in the Hall of Fame. I got that guy.
I always think about I was hoping for a summer catch ending whenever Freddie Prinze Jr. gets drafted by the Phillies and his first batter is Griffey and he hits one off him like first pitch. That's when he was with the Reds. Yeah, he was like, okay, I'm in the big leagues now.
Yeah, I gave up plenty of homes, but Griffey did not give me. And I think I ended up facing him like 9 or 10 times, and I think he got a couple of singles off me, but nothing too big.
Yeah, I think Mike Reiner today played a few clips of you giving us some home runs on the show today.
I don't know.
Every show, I feel like.
That ain't right. I can make fun of myself, but I don't need anybody else to do it too. No, it has been constant fodder on the show to come up with some home runs. And one of them, it was a home run that I gave up. I know you heard the call today. You hear it all the time. Right. One that I gave up, and it was a freaking bomb. And Russell Branyan, for those that haven't heard the story, and Russell Branyan did play for the Cardinals a little bit. I believe it was 2009. He hit a home run off his face in Busch Stadium 2. So anybody that remembers Busch 2, just think about how far the Jumbotron was away, and then realize that he hit a baseball off of his face. Like, it was nuts. So, and Danny Mac on the call, who now I find, I love Dan. Him and I are great friends. I do a bunch of the ball games with him. But he laughed. Like, he laughed during the call. Like, you hear an audible giggle. He hit it off his face out there. Like, be a professional one time, Dan. That's your guy that gave that up.
You say, what you say? You only had one job.
Yeah, just call it straight, okay?
Did they even measure home runs back in the day?
Yeah, all it said was deep right.
Deep right.
Right. Now we know. Well, I would say, when McGwire was doing this thing, they were measuring it because they were like, wait a minute, is this 500 feet? Whatever. So.
Well, now they got like launch angle and all that good stuff, like what way the wind was blowing. So yeah.
All that fun stuff, statistics and analytics and everything now in the game. But just going back before you made it to the big leagues. Of course, you had the minor leagues. So how long were you in the minor leagues? And just for those who may not be familiar, but just tell us about that process of being in the minor leagues, of maybe not playing in, big stadium, not having a big crowd, but still being able to have that umping you to say, you know what, I don't want to be here this long because I got a bigger plan ahead of me.
The fun thing is, too, with the playing in the minor leagues, and I ended up playing 2 years and a month before I ended up getting called up. And then I got sent back down a few times, too. So I accumulated more time than that. But 2 years and a month. But the funny thing is with that, of the, playing in front of big crowds and, I got the bigger task. I remember distinctly. So I started the year 2003. I went to spring training. I started off in what they call extended spring training. Basically, that's anybody that, is not going to be on a full season team. You're going to go to a short season club. So you're just playing a bunch of club games. You'll play against the Marlins a lot, but you're there. But about 2 weeks into that, somebody in A-ball decided to retire, and it was in Peoria at the time. Well, still, is in Peoria now. They're the high A affiliate. So the Peoria Chiefs, I get the call, hey, you're going to A-ball. Congratulations. Here you go. Here's your flight information, and go. I remember getting to the ballpark, walking in, put all my stuff away, get ready. It's about game time. So we're going out there pretty quick, going to the bullpen. And there are fans there. A lot more than my high school games, a lot more than mostly college games outside of the Junior College World Series. And they had mascots and they were doing all kinds of stuff. I remember calling my parents after the game. I go, this is it. I think I made it. This is the big leagues. This is the best thing ever. So my experience was different. I think that there were some that get to us ho hum. And maybe I was just fortunate playing in the right spot, or maybe I was just in the right frame of mind. That felt like the big leagues, the first time that I was there. I also did have that numb feeling too of, oh my gosh, is this what it's supposed to look like? Because the guy that was on the mound for us in OT, and a lot of Cardinal fans might remember him. His name was Blake Hawksworth. Blake pitched in the big leagues a little bit with the Cardinals. Pitched in the big leagues a little bit with the Dodgers. But the first game that I got called up for, Blake was starting that game. And this dude is throwing 97 miles an hour with one of the best changeups still to this day I've seen. And I'm thinking to myself out there in the bullpen, this might not take, I might not be here for a very long time if this is what you're supposed to look like, is this guy, right? But I guess, you learn that you all do it differently. But the road to the big leagues, I loved my time in Peoria. I loved my time in A-ball. And it's not like glitz and glamour by any means. I remember at times, and I'm sure the building that we lived in at the time is condemned now. It better be. It should have been condemned then. But we had a 2-bedroom apartment that I got to move in with a couple of guys that were willing to have less rent. The more players you have in, the less rent you have. And we ended up at one time having 6 people, I think it was, living in this 2-bedroom apartment. We had air mattresses everywhere. I mean, it is not, people think you play professional baseball, you must be rich. No, he is. That guy, he was in the first round. He's rich, not us. We're sitting here, we're all hanging out in this bedroom, all chipped in for a 30-pack of Keystone Light. That's kind of what we did.
So when you received that first big paycheck, what was your thought process, and then what was the first thing that you bought?
So I remember this one well, too, because I was pretty darn excited. I'm sitting there at my chair, and I'm looking at it, and I must have been doing this for a lot longer than you're supposed to, looking at this check. And because Larry Walker, Hall of Famer, and congrats to Larry. Larry walks up to me. I'm looking at this thing, and he goes, "Hey, Tom, you get a check?" I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty excited. He's like, oh, yeah, a lot of money? I'm like, yeah. And then he showed me his check. And then I didn't feel as good about the check anymore, but I still felt pretty good about it. He cleared more than I made in my career for 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. But it was a cool feeling. Again, not making a ton of money out of the draft, not making any money obviously in the minor leagues. So I get that. I remember I did get my first check in the big leagues, and then I had 2 or 3 pay periods after that where my paychecks were just in my carry-on bag because I didn't need any more money and I wasn't smart with it at the time. So I just had some checks sitting there. Not a full Ricky Henderson where I went and filmed it, but it just took me a while because I was pretty well set after 2 weeks. I lived a pretty simple lifestyle.
And you just brought up Larry Walker, like you said. Congratulations, getting to the Hall of Fame. But when you get called up, you already have Yachty, you already have Wayno, you have Pujols, you have Roland, you have Edmonds. I mean, it's like, how long did it take for you to get out of your googly eye stage of like, wow, wait a minute, I'm in here with these guys, and get focused on the reason why you are in the big leagues?
Yeah, it only took about 4 or 5 years. That's about it. Like, it wasn't that long. No, another surreal moment was getting called up, and I remember that. I remember the phone call. And AAA manager called me, and he typical like manager, not going to just tell you go to the big leagues. They're going to kind of pull the prank on you, right? He said, "Hey, you need to get down here. Were you at the restaurant earlier? Hotel?" I said, "Yeah, I was at the restaurant." So the lady said, "You didn't pay your bill." I said, "Skip, I promise. We paid our bill, but I'll be down there in a minute." And he goes over the whole thing again. "You didn't pay your bill, but you know what? It's fine. You're going to be able to afford it. You're going to the big leagues." So, like, he got me with that one. I like emotional, call parents. They're crying. I don't think my dad believed me until he actually saw me pitch in the big leagues because, it was that surreal. But walking to the stadium, my flight was delayed that day, and I got called up the same day. I don't know if you remember Pulsifer, right? Bill Pulsifer was part of that big Mets team back in the day with Izzy and stuff. Well, Pulsifer and I were in AAA at the same time. Both got called up on the same day. Our flight gets delayed, and we get into St. Louis probably around 5 o'clock. Get a rent-a-car, get to the field by 6, and dress really fast. But even before that, I'm walking in the door. Like, they didn't want to let me in, by the way. They let Pulsifer in. Nobody believed that I was old enough to be a St. Louis Cardinal and I was going to be playing for the Cardinals, so it took a minute. Clubhouse guy had to come get me in. But walked in the door, opened up the door, and it felt like out of a movie. Albert Pujols is walking this way across. Scott Rowland is going this way. Larry Walker, Matt Morris, Mark Mulder. Like, it was just... It was such a surreal, crazy thing that it's not like I'm here to watch them. I'm here to play with you guys. Like, I'm here to be on this team. So there is like that moment of, oh my gosh, like, do I belong here? Like, does this fit? And it takes a while until going back to our conversation about the butterflies, right? Like, you feel those things until you actually go out there and do what you've been doing your whole life, and it kind of goes away a little bit. But it's, it's still to this day, like, thinking back at it, it's an incredible honor to be able to play alongside these guys and learn from some of the best players to have ever played the game. And, the Ken Griffey Jr. thing, playing against him, pitching against Greg Maddux, like, those things, like, don't lose their luster, but you have to be able to figure out a way to harness it so it doesn't overpower you.
Right. And then, of course, having, the great Tony La Russa as your head coach and Dave Duncan and the reputation that they already had in the league. So no pressure, Brad. No pressure at all, huh?
Hey, first batter that I faced, and I knew this was a game that I was going to get in. I'd been up for, I don't know, probably 5 days or so, and I hadn't been in a game yet. There were a couple of games, and even that first night that I got there, it was a tie ball game late. And Tony knew that he wasn't going to put me in this game, but I didn't know that. He called down to get me going. I think he just wanted to get the juices flowing a little bit. And I threw like 20 balls off the bat. I mean, I'm just flailing stuff, giving out souvenirs basically to fans. But I didn't get in that game. But there was a game about 6 days later. We scored 11 in the first inning. I knew I'd be getting into this ball game. And the first, right. So I come in the 7th inning, and Yachty is catching at the time, even with the big lead. Einer Diaz ended up taking up for him in the 8th and 9th inning that I was pitching. But the first batter I faced, I ended up walking him. And I didn't walk that many guys in the minor leagues, like, very good control, but I walked my first batter. And I glanced for the dugout, and Tony just looked ticked off already. He's thinking, look at this kid. He ain't ready. He's walking guys. So I got the tight cheeks a little bit, to use the Chris Duncanism, my late good buddy. I got the tight cheeks, and but then after that it got a little bit better. Tony is intimidating, and he's a sweetheart. He loves you to death. Once you're one of his players, I mean, you're family for life. But he can be intimidating, and he was great to me. He was great. And Dave Duncan, we talked about Dave a little bit on the Fast Lane today. Dave Duncan was analytics before analytics. Dave Duncan had binder upon binder of every single hitter, every single tendency. We would go on road trips, and he would have these huge cases of just binders. And if it's a three city road trip, he's taking up half the plane. Guys can't bring their golf clubs. Dave's got all of his stuff going on this trip, but he was so incredibly well prepared, and he did such a great job of bringing in different reclamation projects that didn't work other places. Supon is a really good example. Weaver is a really good example of guys that he was just able to help out that didn't have success other places, because I think these guys just didn't know how to prepare and didn't know how to utilize their stuff to their best abilities. And that's something that Dave was able to kind of teach and be able to get through. And I was very fortunate that was my first stop. I jumped right into like an AP course, which I wasn't in a lot of those either. But I jumped right into the master class.
And you brought up Busch Stadium 2 and 3. So as a pitcher, what would you say is the biggest difference of both of those stadiums in regards to being a pitcher?
I think that they both actually could have played the same. And obviously I played at Busch 2 with grass instead of turf, because that's a whole different beast. But the biggest difference wasn't kind of how the mound felt necessarily, but it was the whole vibe of the place. Busch 2 felt bigger than Busch 3. Now Busch 3 is beautiful, and everything about it is nicer than Busch 2 for sure. It's newer, it's modern, all the amenities that are there. But the feel of just having people all around you was really cool at Busch 2. But but I think that they played the same. I still believe that they should have moved the fences out a good 50, 75 further, but that's just me.
I wonder why he said that. But I was going to say, as you were explaining it, the cookie cutter of the stadium that was Busch 2, I'm pretty sure it took in and that crowd noise better, because everything was so much more enclosed since you had the cookie cutter shape to Busch Stadium. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was loud. It was very loud, and again, it's everywhere. And that same game, right? Talking about my major league debut, I remember jogging in. Probably shouldn't have done it, but I'm glad that I did. I get to kind of remember the moment. But I'm jogging in from a bullpen out in right field, and I look around. I started looking everywhere, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a whole nother deck here. There's a lot of people in this place. It was Mother's Day too, so it was like a weekend game, and I just remember seeing all those people throwing my pitches, and I think hyperventilating as that whole process was going on. And they throw the ball around right through my last up pitch. Scott Rowland's over at third base, and he just walks up and he's got the baseball in his hand, and he looks around kind of like I was doing. He goes, "A lot of people here, huh?" I'm like, "Yes, Mr. Rowland. Well, good luck." And he flicks me the ball. I'm like, "Okay, let's."
A lot more people than Peoria, huh?
Oh yeah. I thought that was the big leagues. I was wrong.
I wasn't nothing. So speaking of Rowland and Pujols and Edmund, how special was it for you to be not just a witness, but just being a part of MV3?
So it's those guys, and I've had a chance to play against a lot of talented people, watch a lot of talented people. To me, they are what we use the Tony La Russaism, right? Tied for first. I mean, so I wasn't there in 04, the MV3 year, but those are the MV3 players. I mean, basically that 05 team was essentially the same team there in 04 minus a couple pieces. And it was just nuts just knowing in a situation that these guys were going to get the ball done, and they weren't, or get the job done. They weren't one ponies. They all played their positions incredibly well. Jim Edmonds, I think it is a shame. I'm not saying he's a slam dunk or should have been first ballot, but the fact that Jim Edmonds fell off the Hall of Fame ballot because he didn't get 5% of the vote, that is an absolute joke. And I think it's something that'll get rectified at some point down the road. But Scott Rowland, Hall of Famer, and I think he's trending in the right direction. He's going to end up getting into Cooperstown. But just watching him, the plays that he made, there are times, and I think that Cardinal fans remember a couple of years ago when Cardinal defense got a little shaky for a minute. And like every play was like, okay, hope that gets made. Anything hit to the left side, you didn't even have to look. I would be on and I could just clean up my dirt in the hole where my foot landed, because I know that he just made a great play. I don't care if it was a pocket or a little slow roller. That dude was going to be able to make the play. So Scott Rowland, to me, again, is one of the best third basemen to have ever played the game. And the numbers bear it out, too. I mean, he's one of the top 10 third basemen ever. And we're fortunate enough now to get a chance to have a look at another one in Nolan Arenado. But what he did, what Jimmy did, talk about just being able to come up in the clutch, it was amazing. And then you sprinkle in the best baseball player that I've ever seen in Pujols, where you would have Tony La Russa. Tony would manage for the big hit that hadn't happened yet because it was coming up in a couple batters. He would get guys warming up in the bullpen because he knew Albert was going to do something special and was always thinking ahead of things. That guy, I don't know about you guys, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I think it's the best decade of baseball, decade plus, that we, at least I will ever see in St. Louis. It was nuts.
Yep, I totally agree. Joe?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And kind of like you were saying, Tony would manage for Albert, just a couple bats away and warm some up in a bullpen. I always think of DeRosa. He talks about on MLB Network sometimes that like they were in Cincy and they got either Franklin or Izzy warming up. I can't remember. And he was asking why they warming up. We're down by however many. Like, oh, Albert's going to hit a homer. And sure enough, he hit a homer. We get the save. We get the win. And, ball game. But
don't be surprised by it, right? That was one thing with Tony La Russa that I truly respect, and especially now watching it from a different view of as I'm like if I'm calling a game alongside Danny Mac or if I'm just watching at home, I'm kind of managing along now. Like I'm trying to do that, and I'm trying to think of okay, well, how do you stay ahead of this? It's chess. How do you stay ahead of the opposition? And Tony was as good as that, or is as good as that as anybody I've ever seen, like thinking through every scenario, knowing where, and I guess that's what decades and decades of managing will do for you. But just, it never felt like he let an opportunity slip by.
And this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. Hope you all have been enjoying this interview so far. I am your boy Smoooth, along with
Joe Bell.
And we have special guests.
Oh, it's Brad. Yeah, Brad Thompson. Yeah, that's me. That was my cue.
I'll see. We always do that with our guests. We don't let them know. We don't give them no kind of warning. We just kind of see if they go ahead and fill it in. So you got it. You good.
I'm a little slow. Must be the internet. It's not me.
Yeah.
Right.
Laggy.
It's all good. We understand. Tough times during this pandemic at this moment. So let's talk about the great Pujols real quick, and that game in Houston when Houston thought they had it all. They had the game won, and I think to this moment the ball is still somewhere in orbit. But that Pujols home run versus Brad Lidge, just give us from your perspective that moment, that feel of you being there and watching what happened.
Yeah, so I was in the bullpen, and so the bullpen in Houston, it's in left field, and it's under the bleachers there, the Crawford boxes. The bullpen is basically like under and a little bit, to the right of that. So it's concrete walls, and it's a level. So you're right there. But it is, on a normal game, you can hear an echo, but it's not bad. In that game, you couldn't hear the person that is standing next to you. We're screaming, talking to each other. And we had bullpen phone in there. It has a huge siren attached to it. So you just never miss the bullpen phone. our bullpen coach, Marty Mason, had his ear up against the phone pretty much the entire later innings just so we wouldn't miss a call. That's how loud this place was. Then Albert kept himself that hanging slider, and you could whisper to each other. That place just fell silent. And I know Albert talked about, he could just hear the dirt crunching under his feet as he was running. You could hear us screaming, obviously. We could hear, the smattering of Cardinal fans. You see the dugout going nuts. It was like a moment out of a movie where time stands still, where you're watching everything in slow motion. That's what it felt like from where I was at. You go from deafening just roar to silence, and it was the coolest thing ever. And that was those moments, and I'm sure that you guys probably felt like this too. There's no way we don't go on to win this series after that. And then it turns out we didn't go on to win the series.
Yep.
Right. I'm like, man, how is it possible that we lost the series still?
Well, you joke around too about it, that ball still being in the atmosphere because it was crushed. And I'm sure you've heard the story. I'm pretty sure it was Brad Osmus on the flight to St. Louis who got on the microphone on the plane and said, now if you look out the right, you will see the baseball that Albert Pujols hit. Those responded pretty well. Roy Oswalt came in Game 6. He shoved against us at Busch 2. And that was another one of those weird, like, surreal moments. Not only the emotional high of, we think we're going to win, now we lost, we're down, but that was, remember, the last game at Busch 2.
Exactly.
So I remember sitting after that one, disappointing loss. This is my rookie season. We make a postseason run. I'm part of that epic moment with Albert. Like, it's just a great series, but it doesn't go our way. And I remember sitting there eating my meal after the game and just realizing that's the last time I'm going to be here. Like, I'm never going to get this opportunity to be in this place again. It was just it's such a bad feeling that you end up losing that way, send the building out that way. But, that's how baseball go, they say.
And it was your rookie year, but did you take, dirt or anything from Busch 2?
No dirt. I should have taken dirt. I do have it, and I still, they're in a box in the basement here. But I still have like the seats. You know how they sell them the seats. I do have some seats from Busch 2. I got a picture down the hall of Busch Stadium, signed by everybody on the team of the old stadium. So little trinkets here and there, but no dirt. I did run into somebody. They sold everything from that stadium. I ran into somebody who said they own one of the urinals. So good for them. They got that.
That's no thank you. Before we move on though, I want to know how intense were those Houston games back in the day? Because that was like the Cubs for us, And then also, do you remember? Because I'm an Astros fan as well as a Cardinals fan, and Biggio's my number one guy. So did you have any memorable at bats with Biggio?
Yeah, so Craig Biggio, that guy would crowd the plate like crazy, and he was such a tough out.
With that giant elbow guard.
Yeah, just lean that thing over there, cheater.
Yeah.
But no, he was fun to play against because he would just battle all the time. And I remember just one at bat against him, and I don't remember the entire sequence, but I remember him fighting stuff off. It was an ESPN game. I think it was a Sunday night. And got to face him, and it was probably one of the best sliders I've ever thrown. And I ended up punching him out, and I felt pretty good about myself. But those games and that atmosphere against the Astros, a good period of time. And I feel like the Cardinals have had this now with pretty much everybody in the division of just like each other. Like the two teams just did not enjoy each other at all, which I kind of like, as an athlete and as a sports fan, I kind of like knowing that there's something a little bit there. Because we're so intense. They always were, and they were so intense because both ball clubs were so good. It just felt like you could never gain edge on the other side. But the competition against them, when you had Biggio and Berkman, they have Bagwell, the Killer Bees, that place was so freaking loud all the time, and they were so talented. But Biggio didn't kill me. Berkman did. And I understand that he's a great human being. And, former Cardinal. I didn't get a chance to play with him. Everybody loves that guy. still having nightmares of Lance Berkman. Lance Berkman would, anytime he'd flick a home run in the Crawford box, I thought was a pop-up, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't go away. I'm going to throw him a fastball in. He'd rip a home run down the line. He was terrible.
I couldn't stand how he ran either when he was with Houston.
But you liked it when he was in St.
right?
Louis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful piece of work with the Cardinals bat, the Cardinals on your chest. But with Houston, I'm like, man, them damn bees get on my nerves.
Jeff Kent, Morgan Ensberg, they just Adam Everett, Brett Ausmus, just good teams.
They were good.
The yeah.
Man, so there's some fun times right there. So we had the MV3. You mentioned last game at Busch. You mentioned Pujols versus Lidge. Tell us about that deafening moment at Shea Stadium, NLCS in 06. Just those last few innings from Andy Chavez, Robin Rowland, and then Yachty hitting that home run. So Taguchi.
Yep, I say, don't forget about So Taguchi.
You know what I'm saying? Making things happen. And then, of course, Wainwright, curveball, Beltran, game over.
Yeah, so Taguchi, I'm glad you brought him up too, because he's one of my favorite humans ever. One of the best teammates, one of the best guys on the road. We would take a cab together. It'd be me, So, and Randy Flores. We'd be the traveling party. Dude, that game, so you want to talk about intensity, you want to talk about loud. First of all, Shea Stadium and Citi Field is nice. Kind of same idea, right? We were talking about Busch 2 and Busch 3. Citi Field's way nicer than Shea was. Shea was not the nicest place in the world. But boy, it was baseball. And it was loud. They had the big speaker in center field. And the bullpen is out there in left field, but it's right by the fans are right above you. You're warming up. They're up here pouring stuff on you that you just hope is beer. Just fingers crossed again. But the building was shaking. Like you could see it. I mean, you see it swaying from the top. And the Andy Chavez home run was one that I was a foot behind. You see the glove come over the wall. And he ends up making the play. We're in the bullpen ready to catch that thing and ready to celebrate. And that was one of the best that I've ever seen, especially on the stage at the moment, what Andy Chavez was able to do. But as you mentioned, Yachty comes in later, hits that big home run against Heilman, and Waino with the big test. And Waino, he was in some trouble. Some guys on. The inning did not start exactly like he wanted it to, but that dude just aired down, and Cardinal Nation ended up falling in love with Adam Wainwright in that moment, and rightfully so. We all fell in love with Adam Wainwright at that moment, but the sprint in from the bullpen and just the feeling there, and I remember the NLCS and all the drama around it, kind of more than I even remember the World Series, just because of it going to 7 games and the emotions of that Game 7, knowing that there's not a tomorrow. If we don't win the game, then we got nothing. We got nothing after that. That was just it was amazing, and it was a fun party. It was a great celebration, in the clubhouse, and it was that was pretty neat. And having Adam do what he did and just kind of everybody on the team show out in that game, it was as good as you can get. Suppan ended up winning the NLCS MVP. I mean, that was all hands on deck.
What a series
dominant.
He held down. Then you go to the World Series, and it's like this is it. This is like the main stage. This is like the big deal. It's the WrestleMania, the Super Bowl, whatever. Tell us about that feeling of you being in the World Series, and then of course being able to say you are a world champion.
Yeah, so we were going off that emotional high. We win in 7 games, and we roll right into the World Series. On the flip side, Detroit had gotten stuff done a little bit earlier, far more dominant ball club than we were. Those that remember that the 06 team, we only won 83 games. 83 games doesn't buy you a World Series very often, or actually it never has in history. But we got healthy at the time, that right time being postseason time. We got fortunate enough to, be a part of the mix. But the Tigers were a tough tough opponent. And I remember reading the USA Today, and I think Tony La Russa has talked about this before, where I believe it was Bob Nightingale's piece, and it said, his prognostication, right? His prediction for it was that the Tigers were going to win in 3 games. Obviously, that's not possible, but that's how dominant that everybody believed the Tigers to be. And then lo and behold, who comes and plays hero again in Game 1 World Series and sets the tone is Anthony Reyes. Anthony Reyes gets that start, outduels Verlander, and he put us on the right path to be able to knock that thing down. I got the fortune to pitch in Game 2. I kind of came for a couple of batters in Game 2, the infamous Kenny Rogers game, the one that the Tigers did win.
Oh, man.
But the feeling there. So it was cold, man. It was cold in Detroit. Game 1 and 2 in Detroit. And I remember walking out. They have like a little sheltered area that you can sit in, but then once you go throw in the bullpen, you have to walk out of that, and then you're in the elements again. We're walking out, and then the cold just hitting you in the chest. You know what that feeling is. You probably felt it a week ago when it was like a high of whatever it was. But it hit you in the chest and like seizes you, right? And then I start warming up, throw pitches, and fans are screaming at me. They're right on top of me. A lot of them telling me I don't look old enough. I got that a lot. I got a lot of that. But I had those moments like that, go from the freezing cold to the call into the game, and it felt like it was summer. Like I was so hot and so like not thinking about the cold, not thinking about anything, thinking about I'm about to go pitch in the World freaking Series. It's my second year in the league. Like that was the greatest feeling ever to get an opportunity. Only faced 2 batters, got a ground out to first, struck out Brandon Inge. Like that was all I was to do in that game. But that was a cool feeling. Then we bring that thing home. Weaver has the big Game 5 for us. Adams seals the deal, and the fastest sprint of my life was when we won the World Series. I'm not a fast man, but it had the clock on me there. Like if this was combine time, I was doing pretty good in the World Series after we sealed that thing up.
Yeah, that was such an amazing run. Like you said, in the outs looking in August, then make that incredible run and what y'all did September and definitely in October. Do you still? I know, of course, we won the World Series, but do you still be like, because of that Kenny Rogers, incident or issue?
No, it's one of those, and you see it all the time, right? You generally don't point out somebody else's issues unless you want to go peeking after your issues. Now, I will say that Kenny was a bit egregious with his at the time.
His stood out.
Hey, whatever it might have been, there was a lot of it, right? It ended up looking a little bit different. But it was one of those where you know Kenny Rogers being the crafty pitcher out there. I think it was just more of how bad it looked more than kind of what it was. You know what I mean? But it is people wonder well, why would you do something like that? It is nuts when it's freezing cold outside. A baseball, even if it's rubbed up properly, it does kind of feel like a cue ball. If you can't really feel your fingers, if you can't get any moisture on the ball, it's very difficult to get a grip on. I think Kenny might have just taken it a tad bit too far.
So you talked about earlier in the minor leagues how you have your ups and downs. You make it to the big leagues and you get called back down to the minor leagues. You were let go by the Cardinals. How did that feel after everything that you've been through with that team, knowing that you were being let go at that time?
Yeah, after the 2009 season, I'm not going to say it caught me by surprise. I knew I was up for arbitration again. I'd have to be offered a raise if that was going to happen. I didn't think that they would want to be giving me a raise. So I kind of knew that the writing was on the wall that might end up being the time, but it sucked. It did. I was in this house. I was upstairs. Before it was a kid's room, it was like a game room. I could go play up there. And I remember I was in the room, got the phone call, say, hey, look, we're not going to renew your contract. You're going to become a free agent, and kind of the rest was history. I signed with the Royals probably a month or so after that. But it's a weird moment going from like my professional life I went to the same place for spring training. I was around the same people, had the same routine. That was from, 2003 through 2009. And then you just go to a completely different area, going to Arizona for spring training, meeting all new people, seeing how they do things. It was hard. It was a difficult transition, but I was fortunate to, have that learning base from a great organization, learn so many lessons, be around so many great people. They kind of tried to set me up, or at least I felt like get me up for success wherever else I landed. But ultimately, like the bulk of my major league career was there. I pitched a couple of months in the big leagues with Kansas City, ended up having Tommy John after that, and the come road was not a smooth one for me. But the feeling at the moment was, it's awful. Like anytime you lose any job, and I hope anybody watching, I hope you don't lose too many jobs. I hope you don't have that feeling along the way. But you do also realize like how special it was to have done, was able to do for as long as I was able to do it in an organization. So, you don't have the time at the moment, or you don't feel like reflecting. But after the fact, I mean, it was a good run, and I got a great opportunity with the organization, and I was very grateful for it.
So, Joe, I'm not sure about yourself, but I've been a huge fan of 101 ESPN radio pretty much since day one. And I recall when I was at my current job now, I was leaving work, and this is when it was DeMarco, Randy, and Chris Duncan. But, of course, that was that time where Chris Duncan was kind of in and out because of his situation, his health issues at the time. So I'm driving down the street, Joe, and all of a sudden I hear today we're going to have a fill-in for Chris Duncan, and it's one and only, lo and behold, Brian Thompson. And I was like, it ain't sound familiar. I'm like, wait a minute, you talking about the babyface guy from the from the Cardinals? And it was like kind of like a tryout, basis, trying to see if things would work, because I knew something was going on behind the scenes with Duncan, because it wasn't put out there at that time as much. But when I first heard you, I was like, this guy is a freaking natural. It was like you was already on the show before you was on the show. And I was already like, oh, they gotta keep this dude on, because he brought it. He brought a whole different element to the show already with DeMarco and Kirker. So for you, when you got that call about coming in, what was your thoughts? Because if I'm correct, you never had any prior experience doing radio. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, definitely never had any prior experience. I appreciate you saying that, of the seeming to fit in right away. But no, never had any experience, and never really thought about doing the radio, and would have never done it or been given the opportunity to do it if it weren't for Dunk. Chris Duncan was the one that passed along my name, passed along my phone number to the program director over there at 101 ESPN. At the time, it was Kent Sterling, and then soon afterwards, Chris Haas-Newport ended up taking over. But Dunk passed along my information, said, hey, I'm going to be missing time. This guy, I know he's in town. I think that he could be really good at this if you want to give him a call. So I got a call from the program director, Kent Sterling, on a Friday. And they said, hey, Dunk gave me your number. Do you think that you would be interested in maybe coming in and filling in for a radio show on Monday? And I said, yeah, what the heck? I'll give it a try. I think that'd be fun. It was the off season for me. I was still trying to come back from Tommy John. I was still playing ball. I was playing independent at the time. And I went in on a Monday, and after one segment, 15-minute block, I get called into the hallway by the program director. And my first thought was, I cursed. Oh my God, I cursed. But I didn't. He said, hey, would you be able to stay the rest of the week? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to stay the rest of the week. I had a lot of fun. That whole weekend was NFL season. I'm cramming. I got notes on notebooks worth of stuff, trying to make sure that I'm prepared for it. But I did. I stayed the rest of the week. And then obviously, at the time, people weren't aware of the health issues that Dunk had with his brain tumor and his battle with cancer. But I stayed the entire off season until I ended up going back and playing ball again. But before I left, the new program director, who was Haas Newport, he said, "Hey man, if you want a full-time job, we're willing to offer you one now." And I said, "Man, I appreciate that much. I can't do it. I can't leave. I can't leave opportunity out there. If I can make it back in baseball, I got to give that a try." He said, "All right, well, let me know if you want him back. You let me know." So I went and played, and I just kind of realized after months in the season's going okay, the numbers are decent, but I'm never making it back. I'm never making it back to the big leagues. I'm throwing the ball as hard as I possibly can, and I'm looking back radar gun and seeing like 85. It's like best bolt. I got nothing. Like I got no way of making it back. And I finally decided that it was about time. That season, we just had our first son, our son born, and it wasn't worth not being around anymore, right? So I ended up calling up and said, "Hey, and if you still got that radio?" He's like, "I'll make one for you." And I've been basically leaving you because the fast one, as Dunk was battling, it was just Randy and DeMarco for a long time. I was visiting them every Friday on the road, but they kind of left that spot open. I don't know if they did it specifically for me, but boy, it worked out really well. And I was so happy and so fortunate to be able to jump into not just a radio gig, but like that radio gig. Like that show, it was already incredibly well established with some of the personalities around. I got to jump right into that. I mean, I went from one dream job into another one, and it felt like in a blink of an eye. So it was so fortunate, but it all started with Dunk thinking of me and passing my information along.
Oh, Fred, you're muted.
And I'm glad that we're talking about this now, because it shows that as long as you have a passion for something, anything is still possible. You have people who may not have had a background in doing this or a background doing that, but as long as you was able to have the opportunity to have that door open, then it's like, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and show you why the door's open for me. So for those who's watching the show right now who has aspirations on doing something that maybe you might not have the esteemed background on, Brad Thompson is a perfect example of anything is still possible as long as you put your all into it. And like I said, I don't think no one knew about your personality outside the game. I know people heard about you having maybe an attitude.
Yeah, there's some stories.
Hey, it's gotten better. I'm not mad anymore. It's crazy. Like once I stopped playing baseball, I'm like a way happier person. Like, I'm stressed out anymore. I sleep better.
Oh man, but yeah, I don't think I know I didn't. I was caught off guard about it when you showed your personality off the field and how easily and seamless it was for you to hold things down on the radio. So with that being said, behind the scenes, talk about the pressures of being on radio, and you do it 5 days a week. We do our show once a week, and we getting things together, prepping the whole nine. But you doing stuff every day of the week. Tell us about the pressures of doing radio.
You know what? It's I don't feel it as pressure as much anymore, but it's a lot like everything we talk about is the reps. The more you do something, the better you get. And we were kind of around about this. I don't know if it was today or yesterday on the fast lane, but when I first started, if something were to mess up what the schedule was, breaking news or a guest comes out of nowhere, man, I'd freak out. The heart starts going like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not prepared for this. Like you live for these moments. You live for breaking news, and you live for something that ends up carrying show and kind of takes it in a different direction. But I think it can be challenging at times to come up with content that is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. People are going to learn something. And day in and day out, there's not a ton to talk about. I don't know if anybody's noticed recently, there's not a lot of Cardinal news to dig into, but we still figure out different ways to talk about different guys and try to make it interesting. But the beauty of it is I work with talented people, and I work with people that have incredibly great, first of all, just insight They have great backgrounds, in different sports, awesome personalities, and that's what carries the show. So whether it was the first iteration of the Fast Lane, and I was so blessed, as I mentioned, to work with Randy and to work with DeMarco Clark, but this show right now, I'm working with Anthony Stalter, who you've had on the show, working with Jamie Rivers. It's fun, man. We're having fun, and that's the key to it. And I know it's not as easy to say. Everybody says, hey, just find something you love and have to do for a living. Well, I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that. So we have fun putting the show together. We have fun kicking ideas off each other, and we have fun bashing on each other too. Like that stuff of it, that part of it is good. But the business itself, it's I will tell you this, and this is something that Chris Duncan told me when I first started doing it. If you do it right, it's going to be a lot of work. And he's right. Like I wake up in the morning, make breakfast for the kids, get them off to school, and then it's prep. Like it's digging in. We have like a Google document that we do that we all add stuff in, kick ideas off of each other. We kind of build the show as we go on. And it is a lot of work, but anything that's worth doing is worth working for, right? And I love what you were talking about a minute ago. If you love something, work for it. I always tell kids, if you get an opportunity to talk, whether it's kids, but it works for adults too. Be ready for the opportunity. You don't know when it's going to come. Like you never know when an opportunity is going to come, but you know when one just passed you. Like you know when it's like, man, I wish I would have been ready for that. Don't let it happen to you. So the radio thing for me was an opportunity, and I didn't know it was going to be this. I had no idea it was going to be this, but I was ready for that Monday that I got to fill in, and that Monday turned to a Tuesday. That Tuesday has turned into now over 8 years of doing this full time. So I can't say enough about 101 ESPN. Our parent company is Hubbard. Like they have treated me so great. I've heard like nightmares of radio industry and how cutthroat it can be and how tough it can be at different places. And I've seen it. Look, I've seen the difficult part of it is we've had a lot of iterations of different shows, and I've had different co-hosts, and I understand the movement. But the people that I work for are great, and they've treated me so good. So I'm very fortunate. I landed in a really good spot, and I love doing it. If I can go to work and I can talk about sports, and like no joke, at least 3-4 times a week, it could be during a segment or it could be during a break. One of us is laughing until tears come out almost every single day. So like it's a beautiful thing. That's kind of what I hope I get. And Anthony and I were talking about this today. Jamie Rivers sent us a text message at the show. He's been out for a couple of days. He said, man, hey, I listened to you guys. It was fantastic. We were talking about how the show sounds different. If once is off and we're driving around and we hear, it sounds so much bigger than it does when, you got the headphones on, just like we're doing right now. It sounds like we're having a conversation, but if somebody's watching and listening, it sounds big when you're doing it. And I just want people to have fun. When they listen to the show, I want them to get informed. I want them to have fun. I want them to feel like they're in on it. And that's kind of been our whole goal the entire time. So it's not pressure necessarily, but we want to make people happy and we want to inform them. And I don't know if you know this, it's not that easy to make everybody happy. And some people don't like the knowledge that you're bringing them. So you're not going to make everybody happy.
Right. That's definitely true. So as you was first starting off with the Fast Lane, which is now brought to you by the Rizzuto Show. Got you. But just starting out, even now, has there been that athlete or celebrity that you was like, wow, I'm about to talk to this person here. This is like the highlight of my career. Have you already been to that point or has it came yet?
You know what? We've had a few different ones that have come by the show. I thought it was really cool getting to meet Herschel Walker was one of them for me, where I'm like, man, this is pretty. He came in the studio, did it on person. Fairly topical, but for a sad reason. A chance to talk to Bob Saget was one.
Wow.
Yeah, man, incredibly funny and just very, very sad about his passing the other day. One though it was just surreal because I'm hearing him interviewing other people. We had a chance. We did a flashback week, and the just different guests, right? Like varying from different areas, and we got to interview Larry King, and it was so cool to hear like Larry King's voice, but I'm asking him questions. Like I'm for him to say St. Louis, hello. Like, but no, it's Larry King, and we're asking him questions. I thought that was a pretty cool one.
Yeah, that's pretty dope right there.
What about you guys? Like who's the guy that is there a sports person like you've run across or you've interviewed or met before where you just kind of like locked up a little bit?
So Fred knows how nervous I was whenever we interviewed Randy Carricker a couple weeks ago. Like
Really?
my heart was racing. Like we know he's a legend around, St. Louis and everything. We've had so many good people on, like Claiborne and stuff. Obviously, like you though, I mean, like we've had former NBA and NFL players on here before, but now we got something that I'm more informed with, and that's baseball. So it's cool to have a former baseball player on, and now he's also a voice around St. Louis. So yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if Fred's talked to more people because I know you like. Some of these people that we've had on, you've met in person, and that's how you were able to get them on the show. So that's a little different than these little Zoom things that we're doing. But yeah.
Yeah, man, I know we had Larry Hughes on a few weeks ago. That was an
He's great
interview. Yeah, great guy. Had Erwin Claggett. That was incredible. One interview I would definitely say was Jahadi White. Legend, played in the NBA, played at Cardinal Ritter High School. And what was crazy is that he came to my old house. He came in person. This 7'1", 300-pound guy who probably stays in the mansion came to my house and set up with me at the old setup I had. And not only was he on the show, but then we also we surprised him. It was my first time, talking to him as well. But Lauren Woods, another Cardinal Ritter, played in the NBA, and Chris Carrawell. So having those three guys who meant so much to St. Louis and have them all on the same show, you talking about something like, this is like some big time stuff for the platform sports talk show. Then to be able to have Jason Tatum's father, Justin Tatum, on the show a while back in person as well. So, yeah, it's definitely like, man, wait a minute. I'm just like, I'm sitting across from this person, or I'm on virtual with Brad Thompson, or like Joe said, Randy Carricker, etc. So, yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. So, with that being said, who is the athlete that's alive now that you would love to interview that you never had the opportunity to yet?
Oh man, that is a great one. So, man, there are so many different personalities. And, it's funny too, because we joking around off the bat, as you guys, before I came on, you were talking about NBA, and Joe said, "Look, I'm good." Some of the biggest personalities that I would like to interview are probably basketball. I would love to interview Charles Barkley. I love his stories. I love hearing him, and he's got a great. I'll listen to every once in a while. I'll listen to Dan Patrick. And he and Dan have a really good relationship. They're friends, so he pulls stuff out of him that other people aren't going to get to. But I would love to just go out with Charles. Now he'd probably be buying, and then chances are he'd win a bet off of me or something, and I'd end up buying. But Charles Barkley is one, and Shaq is another one. I got a chance to meet Shaq when he came to St. Louis. You remember that show he was doing, that Shaq Versus? He did the Shaq versus Albert, right? He got to hang out with us for a while, and he's just in there telling stories and just hanging out and being Shaq, who is also DJing at Mardi Gras. Are you serious? DJ Diesel? I kind of want to go. I got to be honest. I want to go.
He's like a cool guy.
Yeah, but I'd love to be able to interview him too, because I think that would just be, the stories that those dudes would have.
Yeah, I believe we did ask this to Randy Carricker, Joe. I think he said Tiger Woods.
Yeah, he did say Tiger Woods.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I would love, if I had the opportunity, I would love to interview Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Lord.
So I got to meet Michael, but it was just like a quick handshake. Hi, how you doing? Ray King, former reliever. We were at the same place, and Ray knew him somehow. And he introduced me, and I remember shaking his hand. And first of all, it was like shaking a tennis racket. His hand was so freaking big, but and he had his whole entourage around him, right? Like nobody getting to Michael. Like that was just one of those where, Like I did that deer in the headlights look where it's just, I'm sure he gets that like all the time, you know, but
Right.
that was one of them for me. There was no conversation really. It was a hello, shake of a hand. And, you know, I didn't wash the hand for quite some time.
That's how it goes.
So I'm pretty sure locally your favorite sports memory, of course, was winning the world championship. But what's something outside of that you would say is a favorite sports memory of yours? Something that you may have went to, or something that you may have seen on TV that stands out?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if my second thing isn't, well, the 2011 World Series obviously is up there. And I watched that one in a little bit different fashion. I was playing ball in the Dominican Republic as planned, so I watched that entire broadcast in Spanish, which I don't speak very well, so that hit a little bit differently for me. But if you don't mention the Stanley Cup, I mean, I don't think you're doing St. Louis right. I didn't grow up in a hockey hotbed, you know, in Vegas, which is kind of turning into one now as the Golden Knights. But just seeing this city, man, do what they did with when the Blues won the Cup. You waited your entire franchise history to get one, and to see the celebration. I don't care if you're a hardcore Blues fan or not. Get caught up in it. You get caught up in the excitement and seeing the parade and just seeing all the people that were able to flock to downtown St. Louis. That was epic. Like that was about as good as it gets. And when it comes to, you know, our sports moments, not that it was like a bright season by any means, and the following season was even worse, but I have memories of the Rams' final year in St. Louis because I made a point to take my son to every game. Like, so we went and we were at every game that year, you know, knowing that, hey, this could be it, you know, and, you know, that was a tough one for a lot of people, obviously, and a lot of parents, as my son's, you know, running around the basement saying he's Todd Gurley. He's like, can we go see him here? I'm like, no, buddy, no, we're not going to be able to go see him. But getting the, you know, having the opportunity to go see all of the games and just kind of be there for that, those were special moments to me. Not memorable because of the team, but memorable because it's the last time we got a chance to see him.
Right. So it's kind of similar to when I would drive in, listen to 101 ESPN, and all of a sudden we have a special person coming in to join us, fill in for Chris Duncan and Brad Thompson. Watching TV, back then, of course, Fox Sports Midwest, and boom, on the screen, I see Brad Thompson. Then all of a sudden, time go by, you in the studio doing your thing. Then now all of a sudden, joining Danny Mac doing a broadcast of a game commentary, Brad Thompson. So it's like such an impact that your career has made and has catapulted from you having the opportunity 101 ESPN to now what you're doing with the Cardinals. Tell us about working at Fox Sports Midwest in the studio, and then now being able to call Cardinal games with the great Danny Mac.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, you talk about one thing leading to the other, right? That day when Chris Duncan passed along my information turned into one day in the radio, turned into 8 years now. These have all built up and given me other opportunities, and I was so happy the first time just getting an opportunity to do a pre and post game, and I was terrified before my first pre and post game. I think I was more nervous for the first like pre and post game show than I might have been pitching, because I knew how to pitch. Like, some might dispute that, but I swear I knew how to pitch. But like the pre and post game, I never did TV stuff. You know, I'm just pasty white shine all the time. You can see it now. Like it's not like you got bright lights, you got cameras sitting there. Like, it's a really weird environment. So I was really nervous doing it, but I tried to just have like a sports conversation, and ended up working. Turned into getting another one of those gigs, and after a year, you know, the opportunity, they asked, hey, would I be interested in trying to be an analyst? I tried to hide my excitement a little bit, but yeah, yes, please, I would love to try to do that. And that has grown over the last couple of years. I've had the opportunity to do more and more games. Looking forward to potentially the opportunity to do more this year, and I love it. It's so much fun. I know I can't play the game at this level anymore. I love being able to watch these guys do it and call it and talk about them and share their stories and what they're going through and the ups and downs and might happen. Like, I absolutely love it. And you mentioned working alongside Danny Mac. Dan is so talented. Like, you put that dude in the middle of a water polo match and say, call it, and he's going to nail it. Like, that's what he does. You put him anywhere, he's great. And you've seen him, obviously, he does Billikens games. He's done hockey. He's done, football. He's done a little bit of everything. And he's worked with a bunch of different analysts, especially over the last few years. Like, he mixes and matches. We've got a bunch of us that do the games, and he sets us up for success. Dan does such a good job of just setting me up in areas where I'll shine. And the setups are different for me than they're going to be for Jimmy, and they're different for Jimmy than they're going to be for Ricky, and they're different for Ricky than they were for Al or for Ank, and I appreciate that. That is a special talent, but it's just fun to do. It's fun to kind of be, it's not being a part of the game because I'm not doing anything there, but to be able to talk about it, to be able to kind of know that, you're going to be that soundtrack, to make sure that I don't laugh over someone's home run or whatever. It's cool because I remember, when I played, my parents would be like, so-and-so said this about you, or they said this. Like, I want to make sure that, I'm being a good steward for the game and for the players. And I think it's a big responsibility, it's one that I love. And I'm trying to learn along the way. I am learning. I learned this from radio and social media. You're not going to please everybody, so don't try. Like, you do you. I'm not going to go out there if I get somebody tweeting mean stuff at me, and I don't generally check that during the game anyhow. But if I'm not going to switch up what I'm doing because Joe Schmo doesn't like it. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to tell the stories I want to tell. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and what we talk about is right in front of us. Like, the game is the story. Those guys are the story. But I love doing it. It's been fun, and fingers crossed, I'll get a chance to do this for a little bit longer.
Most definitely. So you have, I know, been pretty much to every ballpark now and call games. Right now, what would you say has been your favorite ballpark outside of your stadium to call a game? And maybe it's kind of tight in here. I don't know about this spot. Not so favorite spot to call a game.
Yeah. All right. So there's been a bunch of ballparks that I haven't gone to yet. Randomly enough, I don't know how this schedule worked out. I have still not called a ball game in Cincy. Like, I don't know how. I've heard it's not that's set up. Yeah, but I've been called a lot of Cincinnati games, but they've all been home games, or in the last year they've been remote. We were doing the remote broadcast, which was an interesting challenge in the last year also. But Milwaukee is a great place to call a game. Milwaukee, you're really close. Like, it's the booth is a little bit lower, so you get the opportunity to just kind of be closer to the action. So that is a really good place to call a game. And Bob Uecker next door, who comes over and tells stories. So life is good when you're in Milwaukee. That guy is a freaking riot. So love calling a game in Milwaukee. The one that it's not that I don't like. I like the stadium, just the people are great, but the view, I mean, you get a freaking nosebleed, is the Nationals. The Nationals, you better bring binoculars to find out what's going on there. You're calling most of it off a monitor because, I mean, you feel like you're on top of the Pentagon, basically, in Washington. It's such a high up view. But, man, I hope I can see more and more of these games. I haven't called a game at Wrigley yet either. Hey, yeah, well, remember this. All good cities, Jim Edmonds is probably going to go to, okay? Yeah. Jimmy's getting Chicago. Jimmy's getting New York, chances are. But that's shocked about Cincy. I haven't got that one yet. But, hey, it's the pecking order, okay? I know, Matt. You pick whatever cities you want to go to, and I'll pick up the other ones. It's fine.
Yeah, but what y'all have done over these last few years, whether it's been remote or like you talking about in different stadiums, just the dynamic that you, Jimmy Edmonds, I know Rick Horton was doing it, but now he's full-time with the radio. But even Ankyo, just coming in, different viewpoints, having humor, but the fans just love to get that perspective from a former ball player who's been there and done that, and that's what makes the game and watching the game that much more interesting. So definitely shouts out to you and to Jimmy Edmonds and Ankyo for keeping Danny Mac on his toes, but just doing a great job. as a commentator and analyst. Joe, did you want to add anything else to it?
To that part, just doing the broadcast.
Yeah.
Or just all right. Well, this was one of my questions, anyways, about broadcasting. But like, what was more nerve-wracking, pitching the World Series or doing your first game with Danny Mac on air?
Doing the first game.
Yeah, I think.
Like, yeah, seriously. I mean, and again, it's like it goes to the buildup of it. You're getting ready for the first game. I've taken like 7 notebooks worth of notes, which I know I'm going to use, but I'd rather be more prepared than underprepared. But like the whole buildup, and then like you have the countdown in your ear. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom, you're live. Like, oh my God, we're live. This is really happening. Pitching is like what I knew. Pitching is what I did forever. So like once you start, okay, all right, you're good. Those butterflies turn into you channel it, right, positively. But the broadcast I did, like I was nervous the entire time, and every inning I would look over and say, "Hey, good, you're good," or he would give me like little little help while I'm saying something. He'd be like, "Explain that," and like, then I explain what I'm talking about, or he'll like, "Again, like okay, I'll do that." So going back to him just kind of being the quarterback and put good position. But that first game in the booth, terrified, absolutely terrified. And it was it was like the Will Ferrell in old school where I just blacked out. I blacked out. What happened? Like, you nailed it. Okay, good.
So this is one of the situations that once again you didn't have any prior experience, but now as you started to do more games, were there any other analysts that you looked up to or were your inspirations at all?
Yeah, like I grew up not like following broadcasters as much, like obviously Cardinals. Watched those games and watched them, got to hear them while I was playing, but I never really had those guys. But I always had profound respect for what they did. But and it's kind of amazing because this business is highly competitive. I can't tell you how much help I've had from the other guys, from the other analysts. Al Roboski has helped me out so much. Like if I got questions, he's there for me. If he's got a tidbit for me, he just pass along. Rick Horton has been so great to me. Jim Edmonds will text during a broadcast, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Like these guys, everybody is helping each other, and that's the cool thing about it. Is it's another big team. Like everybody is lifting each other up, and that's cool. Like you don't get that in every industry. You don't get it where everybody wants everybody else to succeed and everybody wants to give others some help. And I feel like I'm kind of a part of that again. So it's kind of a different team. So I look up to those guys. I look up to my peers that do this, that see baseball, but they see it in maybe a little bit different lens than I have from the experiences that they've had. And I appreciate that.
And just thinking about it in regards to how you said, wow, you're doing a studio. I'm sorry, not studio analyst, but being an analyst makes you appreciate guys like Ben Scully. I mean, he did it all by himself, commentating, a play-by-play, should I say, and being an analyst. That's pretty amazing, ain't it?
Look, I think that's what Dan wants to do. I think Dan wants me to not show up one day so he can Ben Scully that thing. He says I talk too much. No, it is. It's Vin Scully is he's the GOAT. I mean that guy, the way that he could yarn, he could turn anything into a story. He could bring it right back to the ball game, continue his story. I get distracted and I forget what I was talking about. Like Vin was able to just tie everything right back together. So it was and I didn't get the opportunity when we went to LA. He had already retired. I've got a chance to do broadcast there. But Vin Scully's everywhere on the walls, and he is just one. He's going to go down. You go back and watch highlights, and there are certain voices that are just iconic. As soon as you hear it, you know who it is, and you start thinking about things, and that's absolutely Billy.
It's usually Jack Buck and Vin Scully's voice that you're going to hear on those.
Yeah.
And if I recall, I believe this was a few years back. I want to say they were in San Diego, and there was a game in which it was supposed to be in Danny Mac and Al Roboski, but I think Roboski got sick or something, or injury. Something must have happened, and I think Danny Mac did the whole game by himself. You recall that?
I don't remember that one, but it sounds about right. I know he could do that. I know he could do that for sure.
I'm pretty positive it was in San Diego.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute, look at Danny Mac doing the whole Ben Scully, and he was like a natural, because like you said, he don't mind doing this thing. He just an incredible talent, and I had the opportunity to actually be a few rows behind him when I went to the most recent Billikens game this past Saturday, so that was pretty cool. But going on to, as you brought up earlier, remote broadcasting, during COVID. Broadcast ain't even doing one-on-one ESPN. How difficult of a challenge was it to do both?
Yeah, it's been a challenge for like everybody in every walk of life, right? I'm sure that every job you've had some different things that have changed, but doing baseball games, like the beauty of it is being there, right? You're at the field, you're seeing the whole field. You bring in the sounds and the sights. It's just different being on site. But look, due to restrictions and due to the corporate rules, we just weren't able to do that in the last year. So we're calling games in basically an office. You got TVs up on the wall. They give you as much information as you can. And for me, for the analyst, I get to speak after the action. Like something happens, then I can break it down. Poor Danny Mac's got to call something quick, and you're at the mercy. You're at the mercy of whatever the camera cuts, like wherever they go to. That's what they're going to, and whatever you can see, you can see. And we generally have an all 9 view, which is kind of an overview of the field, so you can see little specks basically where the players are. But some ballparks, those are cut off. So a ball down the line, you're not sure, fair or foul. He gets put in a really difficult position, but you make the best out of it. And the worst thing you can do is not have the energy and not bring it. Like you at home, if you're watching the ball game, if we're doing a remote broadcast, you shouldn't know. Like you shouldn't know, not because it's like some secret and we're trying to hide it, because I don't want to remind you that we're stuck in a booth because of freaking COVID, and I want you to think of that. Like, no, I want you to think about this ball game that is out there in front of you. I want to think about these players. I want to think about this next at-bat, this next pitch, and have the energy as if we were. So that's the thing. It's just bringing that energy, manufacturing it to me was one of the biggest keys of doing all these remote broadcasts. And fortunately, it's easy when you have somebody like Dan who has tons of energy. His calls have energy. He's into it. I think it would be a little bit more difficult if I worked alongside somebody that was like more monotone and just didn't kind of bring it like that. But it makes it easy when he's up there. You're able to keep that level of intensity as well. So I hope, fingers crossed again, that the remote broadcast on the road or a thing of the past. I don't know. I have no idea what they're planning for next year. But I hope we don't have those, or at the very least, we don't have very many of those. But if we do, we do, and we'll figure out, and they'll sound as good as they can sound. We'll do it, as good of a job as we could possibly do. But I'm ready to get in ballparks again. I'm ready to travel again, not because I don't want to be, I want to be away, because that was the only lone good thing about the remote broadcast. Yeah, come home to my family every night. Like that was nice. My family appreciated that. Got, like I said, a couple of young kids. That part of it was great. But I think to do the job, you got to be around the guys. You got to have those relationships. You got to know the little stories. You got to be with them on the road. And I hope we get the chance to do that this year.
Most definitely. Joe, I know you have some more questions, so I'll let you take over for a little while.
All right. So my first one, it's just in honor of Lester retiring today. With his resume, 200 wins, 2,500 strikeouts or almost, and then he's got 3 rings. What's your thoughts on him possibly being in the Hall of Fame?
I think he is. I'm an easy grader, though, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, because I know how hard this game is firsthand. But I look at the numbers. At 200 wins, I know that there are a lot of people, and especially analytically driven, that don't care about the win. It's a big number. That is a good milestone. It's still a lot of the old school voters still really like the wins. But to me, it's more about what he was able to do in the postseason. Joe, you mentioned the 3 World Series. It's not like he was just along the ride for 3 World Series. That dude had like a 1.4 something ERA in all of his World Series appearances. Cardinal fans know 2030 shoved against the Cardinals 2 games. I think he went 15 and a third, gave up 1 earned run. I mean, the guy was just a postseason performer. He shined when the lights were the brightest. when you see some people shrink. So I think he's a Hall of Famer, and I don't know if you factor this in, Joe, and I don't know if you can when you're voting on the Hall of Fame, or what you bring into it. But the dude also did sign with the Cubs as they were going through a rebuild and changed the culture. Theo Epstein went after him for a reason, had the relationship with him. He knew that even at, going into his age 31 season, that he was worth the investment because he could shape what they wanted as an organization. And that's what he did. And he, along with obviously some very young talent, Chris Bryant gets drafted, he's up, they draft Schwarber, they get Baez, they made the trade for Rizzo. But they built a core, and he's such a big part of that that ended that championship drought. I feel like that has to be factored in some way. So I got him in the Hall of Fame. Where do you got him?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards in the Hall of Fame, and just the reigns that he has with the Red Sox and with the Cubs. They're just two historic teams. So I don't know if that factors into it either. But I don't know. When you think of the Cubs and the Red Sox, you think history, then you think baseball. Speaking of reigns, do you keep your World Series reign anywhere crazy like some of these guys do?
It's in my sock drawer. It's upstairs somewhere. No, nobody's gonna look in the sock drawer, right? Well, now they are, and I'm gonna move it. Now it's gonna be by the underwear. But I don't wear it very often because, first of all, I got baby hands. It looks enormous. It doesn't even fit that well. It kind of slides off, so I have to wear it on my middle finger. Then every time I show people, they get upset with me. But it's one of those things. Special occasions, I'll bring it out. Obviously, if there's something where I'm doing an event that is Cardinal related. I mean, everybody loves to see a World Series ring. I only hand it to people to look at if it looked like I could possibly catch them. I don't give it to anybody that looks fast at all. But don't keep it anywhere crazy. I've got upstairs here. I got a little landing as I head upstairs, and it's kind of a three-piece picture, and it's the ring on each side, right? The left side, right side, the center, and then it's got a ring dissected into threes under it in a shadow box, which is kind of a cool thing, so people can kind of see what the entire thing looks like. But the actual ring itself doesn't get a ton of wear.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lock mine up in a safe somewhere.
Probably a smart way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Max Scherzer said he just keeps his in a sock drawer, I think, honestly. What was it like?
One of the things me and Max have in common right there.
Yeah.
We have so many things.
Yeah. What was it like pitching to Yadi?
He was great. We were talking about his toughness a little bit earlier, but so Yadi was the only one when I came up in 2005 that was even close to my age. Yadi, he was already established because he was there. He was the parent for Matheny. He was there in 2004. He takes over fully in 2005. So he was already in with the crew, but he was the only one that I felt like you and I could probably talk about some of the same things. But he makes everybody better. I remember throwing some pitches. I'd throw a pitch and it would leave my hand, and my thought would be, I missed. And then he'd catch it, and he'd just position, perfectly. And Joe, this being a catcher, you just suck it up at the bottom of the zone with the thumb, or you hold your glove in the perfect, way where it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hit that thumb like you were talking about, and it's gonna rip that, but he's gonna catch it and buy you the strike. He was just so good at moving and being so quiet behind the plate and being able to make things look like strikes. And then the thought process, I don't care if you're a young pitcher or you're a veteran pitcher, he's done the work. He's already done the legwork. He knows how to set up every single hitter. He knows your arsenal. He knows their weak. He knows what you threw to him last time, whether that last time was 3 innings ago or it was a couple of weeks ago. He's already done everything. So the wheels get turning a lot, and especially for young pitchers. You're on the mound, you're thinking. Don't think. He's thoughtful. You have that confidence of you just throw it. He's going to call the right pitch in the right spot. Now, if you have conviction for something as a pitcher, you should always throw what you're comfortable with. But if you're going through it and you're saying, okay, well, that could work. If he calls it for a reason. And that's one of the pieces of advice I would give to any Cardinal pitcher right now that has the opportunity this season to throw to Yadier Molina. While you are shaking your head a lot, maybe after the fact, right? After the game, whether it's you going back in the video and watching or you just recalling, think about why. Think about why he called something, because you got a lesson to learn. The reason that he calls every single pitch And you might want to learn it before the guy is gone, because whoever the heir apparent is, right? Whether it's Andrew Kisner, who's already here, the organization is incredibly high on Ivan Herrera. Maybe it's him, but whoever it ends up being, it's not going to be Yadi. Like, you're just not getting that guy in a generational talent. So incredibly talented, as we all know. His will to win is ridiculous. Well, he's pissed when the Cardinals lose. Like, he does not wear it well, and you appreciate it. And that's why Tony loves him so much, why Matheny loves him, Schilt loves him, Ollie loves him, everybody loves him, because he wants to win. When you have somebody that is the warrior that's been your team forever, but it's not about him. It's not about his numbers, which are going to be Hall of Fame worthy. I 100% believe that Yadier Molina will be in Cooperstown. But it's not about those things for him. It's about the win. It's about what he can do to make everybody else better. And it has paid dividends for so many pitchers over the years.
Yeah, the way you're talking about Dave Duncan earlier, about like all the binders, I imagine that's Yachty just now, like with a tablet or something. He doesn't have to take up all that room.
Might just be his brain, Joe. Like, it might just be upstairs where he's just got that stuff all filed.
Yeah, I always think of the 06 video whenever Wainwright's talking about the at-bat against Beltran, and I can't remember what he said. Yachty at first told him to put down. It might have been a fastball, but then he like got back behind home plate, and he's like, "No, I want to do a changeup."
Yes.
And Yachty didn't Waino didn't know if that was right or not. He did it anyways, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, that was the perfect pitch to throw." Like, you just had to believe him.
He didn't even have a changeup at that point. He just said, Yachty called it. It is me. So along those lines of the changeup and Waino throwing his was way bigger than mine was. I remember, so I got called up before Adam did in 2005, and I get called up, make my major league debut, and I got a text afterwards from Waino, and Waino goes, "Dude, when did you get a changeup?" He never threw a changeup. I never threw it in the minor leagues. I was fastball slider. They wanted me to work on a changeup a lot, and I worked on it. It just wasn't very good. But when I got called up, Yachty's asking, "Hey, what do you got?" I'm like, "Oh, fastball, changeup, slider." He didn't really much from spring training because I wasn't there for very long. I was like, "Oh, I got fastball, slider, change. That's what I got." And he's calling that changeup. Lefties are up there. He's calling. I'm saying, "All right, I'm just gonna throw this thing," And it worked. I had confidence in him. It was fine.
Yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing. So from like a veteran pitcher, like, what was the best advice that you've gotten from, I don't know, I'm trying to think, a Suppan or a Weaver or anyone like that?
Yeah, look, so many guys helped, and it's kind of a lot like the conversation we were having about podcasters currently. Everybody kind of helps everybody. So I got a little bit from everybody, but one of the more influential guys for me was actually Jason Isringhausen out in the bullpen. Most of my career, was in the pen. And Izzy was just instrumental in helping me along the way. So whether it was like process for a hitter, or how to prepare, or how to deal with things, like dealing with failure, dealing with successes, not getting too down, how to get back up, working grips. He was, my throwing partner for a lot of the time in St. Louis, just working on different things. He just always helped me. And the mental process was a big one. And another guy in the pen that really helped me out a lot was, you guys remember Russ Springer? Russ Springer was an Astro, and then was a Cardinal, was an Astro, was a Cole again. Russ Springer was huge, just in the mental game of the preparation. And Russ was a teammate, as I was kind of I was that swing guy. I would start, then I'd relieve, and I'd start again. And I wanted to start. I wanted that opportunity and that job. And I would get sent back to the bullpen because somebody would come off of the IL or, whatever the case may be. And Russ would always tell me, he's like, "Hey, you better not come down here scowling. This is a promotion. All right. We come to work every day with our lunch pail. Those guys bring their freaking golf clubs every day. They don't know how to work. We're working. You ready to work?" So, "Yes, sir. I'm ready to work." I just love I love people that know how to tell you thing at the right time, right? Put you kind of in your place right there. And Russ Springer was always one of those guys for me.
All right, I got two more for you. I guess they're just fun ones. But if there was a current player you could face right now, say like when you had your best stuff, and don't make fun of yourself when you had your best stuff. I don't know, it could be like Trout, Ohtani, Tatis. Like, who would be one guy, even if you thought they were gonna, just hit one off you, that you would love to face in today's game?
Yeah, it's Ohtani for sure. Like, that's the guy. The guy's a freak. He is the one. Like, that's the guy you want to face. And me picking a lefty to face is not a smart idea, right? But Shohei Ohtani, like, he's our modern day Babe Ruth. And I know he doesn't have the counting numbers, but when you're looking at, boy, there aren't too many of them that are doing the things that Shohei Ohtani did. So that would be one that I would love to face. There are so many incredible hitters out here. Look, if I'm starting a team right now, I might start it if I got the pick of the litter. Juan Soto might be the first guy that I end up picking. I love his game. I love the plate discipline. He's young and he's still getting better and better. I got to pick one guy right now. It's going to be Shohei Ohtani. Who are you picking? Who you guys got?
I love Trout.
Okay.
I know.
Trout fanatic.
Yeah, I know Ohtani's like what people are saying now is the face of game, but I still believe that Trout's the best player that we've seen probably since Albert. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike Trout.
And I will go with Fernando Tatis Jr. I was a huge fan of his father back in those great days. Hitting the two grand slams and one inning and everything like that. I was a huge fan of Tatis Sr. So when Tatis Jr. came around, I saw what he brought to the game of baseball, making it fun. I definitely want to credit guys like him, Bryce Harper, the Acuñas, guys who bring a different energy to the game. It's like the league kind of finally accepted expression is not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. That was the first thing I was going to bring up when you were talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. is just that energy that he has around him. And I think the Cardinals, while like they have that like buttoned up kind of vibe to them. Look, I think Harrison Bader brings a little bit of that to the ball club. I think that he kind of brings that next level, always having fun, doing stuff. And it's important, man. The one thing that we really need in the game of baseball, from a fan base standpoint, we got to get younger. Got to be able to grab the younger audience. Got to figure out a way to keep kids. And it's great. I think that baseball, as far as youth baseball participation, is growing and it's getting bigger and bigger. But you want the eyes on product. And I always tell kids too, you want to get better. Like you want to get better. Yes, you have to practice. You got to work for sure. When you're not doing that, watch the guys that are the best at this. Watch them. Watch the games on TV. If you have the fortune to go to a baseball game, go and watch because these are the best of the best. But it's a short attention span world now. Like, so how do you continue to grab those young players? And I think, Smoooth, to your point, the players like Fernando Tatis Jr. and like Harper and like Harrison Bader and Ronald Acuna Jr. Like, I think the energy and the excitement that they bring, I think it grabs people's attention.
And I think one thing that helped was the most recent World Baseball Classic. That really, I think, propelled players to show more emotion. I remember when Yachty and
Javi Baez.
Yes, those two on the same team together, just doing all kind of different things. And
Baez, Correa, Lindor, Beltran, all of them on there.
I think that really started that trend, and then that following playoff, it was just like, you know what, we throwing bats up in the air, we talking stuff. I just really feel like baseball did something right there by allowing more guys to be more expressive. I think Wainwright said this a while back, like, hey, if you get a home run off me and you want to do your dance, hey, do it because you deserved it. You did the work, you did whatever it took. You reward yourself. So baseball, and I wish other sports like football, I wish in basketball, how they got like this, you can't taunt no more. That's going to make the game better by allowing these guys to show their emotion. Now, of course, you can't be disrespectful and, cause a fight. But at the same token, allow these guys to express themselves more, show emotion, because it's not easy to be able to be picked like you were to go into the league. Or if you was playing football or playing basketball, you are one of the lucky few that has the opportunity to be at the stage like that. So why not let these guys show emotion?
No.
And I think baseball is slowly, finally getting to that point where, yeah, go ahead, do your thing, boom.
I'm with you, man. So my thing is always, and you brought it up, right? Like, you still got to respect your opponent. My thing is pick your spot. You hit a big home run and you just put your team ahead in the late innings. Do your thing. Take a minute around the bases. Walk the dog if you want to. Whatever you want to do. Like, you do your thing. But if you hit that same home run, your team is still down by 10, and you're going to take a minute to walk around the bases, well, that's a bad look. And now you're all about you, and you're not genuinely excited, kind of like for your team. This is just a me moment. Pick your spots is important. Still respecting your opponent is an important thing. But it's even if you ruffle some feathers along the way, is that the worst thing that can happen? We were talking about rivalries earlier. I don't feel like we have those as much anymore. I feel like everybody is happy all the time, and everybody loves each other, which is great in the world, which, by the way, it's not happening in the world as much as it's happening in sports. But I think rivalries are a good thing. And if showing the emotion gets somebody upset on the other side, well, what are you going to do about it? Like you come back and do something great, and then you can show your emotion. I'm fine with it. Respect your opponents, but you know what? We got to all stop being as sensitive as we are now to certain stuff, because at the heart of it, again, it's a game. Like, it is a game, and you're playing it at the highest level. Be able to show some enjoyment.
And then, yeah, Fred, I do agree. Like, I feel like the game was starting to get there, especially with the Sotos, Acuñas, Tatis and everything.
Right.
And then we had that crazy week of signings. And now the season, there's nothing. So hopefully they figure something out soon, so that, because if they're going to be locked out for too long, that's all going to die down. It's going to take even just baseball lifers a bit to get back into it. But my last question has to do with, I guess, broadcasting. So, like, Danny Mac aside, if you had to do a game with an athlete, Snoop Dogg, I don't know, anyone, who would it be?
Well, now you planted the Snoop Dogg. Everything that he calls is great, whether it's a hockey game or. Do you see? Was it him and Kevin Hart doing the equestrian with the horses? that was fantastic. Man, I don't know if I would end up picking it. So watching NFL games, and he does basketball too. I love Kevin Harlan. I like how he calls a game. I think that he would be a lot of fun to do a game alongside. But when you're talking about like personalities and analysts and stuff like that, man, I don't know who the guy is that I would pick. I know this. I think that Adam Wainwright would be a fun guy to do a game along with. I want Adam to pitch for another 15 years so he doesn't take my job, because I know how good he is at it already. We saw him do all the postseason games, but he'd just be a fun guy to chop up a baseball game with. But what about you? If you guys had to do this, or you had a third chair, right, coming in for a show, who would it be?
I don't even know, Fred. What about you? There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I love Gus Johnson. I would love to do a game with him. I mean, just like you said about Danny Mac, if you say call a polo water polo, Gus Johnson would make that be the most exciting thing ever in life, along with Kevin Harlan. So I would love to do something with Gus Johnson.
As much trash Joe Bucket's talked about, I do know whenever the COVID thing was going on, like at its peak, he was doing voiceovers for like beer pong. That was funny, so he could kind of make that stuff exciting too. I thought
what is up with, by the way, maybe you guys can maybe you can help me on this. Why did Joe Buck hate? Like, why do people jump over Joe Buck? The guy is fantastic at what he does.
Especially St. Louis, because, and I think it's just because of how he has to be. He can't be as biased when he's doing a Cardinal game, no matter if it's at St. Louis or not. But I mean, he gets paid to not be biased when you're doing a national broadcast game, so he's doing his job. I just think it's just St. Louis people being their feelings. Now, in regards to outside of St. Louis, I have no idea. I think he's a great play-by-play announcer. He's humorous. I don't get it. I don't know. People got issues.
Yeah, I mean, he's like he's like as well as you think of like maybe not as big as Bob Costas, but I'm just saying like with baseball, you think of Joe Buck. I know he does football too, but like I think of the ALCS and the World Series. You know, those are games that he's always going to be doing, and now he does them with Schmaltz. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy listening to him.
I went back today, and it seems like every time you watch a highlight, it's him attached to it, right? A postseason highlight. But it was the Aaron Boone home off of Tim Wakefield. You know, keeps it fair. Like, and it's Joe Buck all over it. The guy is amazing. I think you're doing something right if everybody thinks you hate their team. I mean, you're playing it right down the middle. You're doing a good job.
Most definitely.
I thought of one more, Fred, before, just to see, since we talked about it earlier. Do you have like a Super Bowl prediction?
Super Bowl, yeah, I do. I got the Packers and the Chiefs. I got the Packers and the Chiefs being in the game, and I got Green Bay winning as Aaron Rodgers is on his middle finger tour, and I think that they take this one down. I don't see any happy faces. So where are you guys going?
Oh no, I mean I'm okay with Green Bay. That's whatever. I love Tom Brady, so I think it'd be cool to see Brady get another one.
I believe my prediction earlier was a rematch, Buccaneers and Chiefs. So I wouldn't be surprised. But if you saw earlier, I'm not sure if you did, Brad, but I said I had a question out there. Name two teams, one from the AFC, one from the NFC. That would be like some surprise sleeper team that could possibly make it. And I had San Fran, especially now that Jimmy G is back. Deebo Samuel played incredible. And our guest right here, T-Bone Funk, who you see is comment right now, talking about Joe Buck. But he's a huge San Fran fan. But I see San Fran, and I wouldn't be surprised about the Cincinnati Bengals. I like what Joe Burrow's doing. That squad is hungry and young. Now, granted, they can lose, this weekend against the Raiders. That's just how football is. But the question was, who's two teams who can just sneak their way in surprisingly and go all the way? And I like those two teams right there. Yeah, look, you're going with some firepower on the Bengals side. They got to get through my Las Vegas Raiders first. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. You never know. You never know with them. Heading on the road, I'm surprised they're at where they're at with the year that they have had. No, I think that's a good one. I agree with your NFC one with San Francisco because that team is starting to play. Look, I have been on the bandwagon throughout the year of like, forget it. If Jimmy G's not the guy, let Trent play. Let him go. And, boy, they did a good job of not doing that because Jimmy Garoppolo looked good. What was it, 5 plays, 85 yards to get him last week. He's solid. I like that one. In the AFC, though, are the Patriots enough of a sleeper to tip them in this conversation?
No.
What do you mean no?
No.
They got a rookie quarterback.
No, but because they had Bill Belichick.
They don't have Joe Burrow?
Nope. I wouldn't say sleeper. And I was saying this before. Now I know Mac Jones hasn't had great weeks these last few weeks. Pretty much since that Buffalo game earlier in Buffalo when it was like super frigid. Maybe teams have figured him out. But I was saying before that he's like the perfect quarterback for the Patriots and for Bill Belichick. He doesn't have that big ego. He just about trying to learn the game, kind of like how Brady was when he first started. Not saying he's gonna be like Brady, so people don't kill me, but just seeing how he's a real system-like quarterback, and once he gets more confidence and throwing more longer passes than these little dink and dunks, he's gonna be solid. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if New England makes a huge run. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, so what is it in your eyes? What's a bigger sleeper? Forget the seeding. Like the Bills are ready to. You look at the team, like they're good. They've got the quarterback. If not now, then when? Honestly, for them, with the Patriots at least showing you a sign of life. What's a bigger sleeper though? The Bills or the Patriots?
See, because the Bills were in the AFC Championship game last year, they could have beaten the Chiefs. Like they were right there. Like they had no reason not to beat the Chiefs last year. So between the Patriots and the Bills, then I would say the Patriots because I don't think no one's seen the Patriots getting as far as they have now.
Perfect. I'll take them. They're a sleeper now.
Yeah, so between those two, I would definitely say it. But once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show, man. People, we have had 3 hours and almost 20 minutes of entertaining. It was a plan for 3 hours, but when you're having a good time talking about sports, that's what happens. And Brad Thompson, we thank you very much, man, for taking this time. I know you had 4 hours or so doing the fast lane, brought to you by the Little Show, and then doing 3 hours and change here. But it's definitely been a pleasure. It's definitely been fun. Did you have any special shout outs?
Oh man, look, hey, to you guys, thank you, and thank you to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you both, Smooth Joe, having me on with you guys to chop up some sports, because you guys are the fans. You guys are doing it. You're bringing it to the fans, and I appreciate you. So, look, and again, as we talked about before, I've been very fortunate to be able to do this and to be able to continue to do this, and there have been a lot of people that have helped out along the way. So thank you to all of them. And I'm excited to go about it again tomorrow. We'll come up with some fun stuff. Anthony Stalter, Jamie Rivers on the fast lane, and we're going to keep chopping it up. But I appreciate you guys having me, and I had our time today, man. I'd love to do it again one day.
Yes, most definitely. Rapid fire with the move that Mozeliak did to let go of Schilt and hire Ali Mamo. What kind of message is he sending through the organization and for Cardinal Nation?
Yeah, look, I think it was more of, it wasn't what we saw on the field, but more of the stuff that we're not privy to on the inside. I think it was just more of a, hey, we have a concept and we have a direction, a game plan. And I believe that, Mo and Schilt kind of all that. While the game plan is always, the finish line is winning, they saw different directions potentially of getting there. And I think that maybe there is a better vision, not maybe, there is a better vision along with Ollie Marmol. And I think that those, the path is more aligned than potentially it was with Schilt. I have a real respect for Mike Schilt. He was great to me as a man, as an organization man. I've been with the Cardinals for a long time, but they decided it was time to switch gears. And I think that Ollie's going to be perfect. He was the right-hand man for Schilty. So, look, the idea is, and if one thing he's talking about for Cardinal Nation, if there's a message, is the message is, hey, we're ready to win now. Like, we're willing to shift gears from somebody who has taken us to the playoffs and ridden us through a 7-game winning streak, because we truly believe that this move is going to help us get to where we want to get. I think that's as message as you can have.
And I would do a blank here.
No, I do that all the time on the radio. Oh,
I know.
I just go blank.
So blank player, if he does not have a great season, is going to be a problem for the Cardinals.
Oh, man. So my first thoughts go to your normal Goldie, Arenado, O'Neill. Like, those are the three that I look at. Basically, I really think that somebody's going to be able to pick up the slack in that group. And I think that Dylan Carlson is going to be able to pick up a lot of that slack this year, too. He's getting better and better. I'm going to go with Jack Flaherty, guys. Mm-hmm. I'm going with Jack. Jack is the guy that this is the year for him. This is the year to prove that you're going to be the guy from start to finish. Now, you can't do anything about injuries. They happen. He works as hard as anybody to keep his body ready, keep his mind ready. It cropped up. But they're going to need him this year. He came back. He was healthy at the end of the year. But Jack Flaherty is the guy for me. Waino threw you 206 innings last year, and Waino's going to be there for you. Steven Matz, I'm very interested to find out what he is. You got Michaelis, you got Dakota Hudson coming back off of injuries. Both of them have missed significant time in the last couple of years. I need Jack. Jack's going to have to rock. If he's not, the Cardinals are going to have some problems.
Got you. So, once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. Been an incredible show with yours truly, along with
Jobo
and special guests.
Oh, that's Brad Thompson. I was quicker that time.
He got it that time. I like it. It's been fun. Brad, if you don't mind, just stay on just a few more seconds after we end the stream. Just do a quick post-show talk. But for everybody else, thank you very much for tuning in. Keep them shares going. This show will be archived as soon as we're done on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. and on Roku TV, so you can follow us on all those different social media platforms. And don't forget, as I said before, season 2 of Ladies Night begins next month. Bunny will be back. She's been gone after since I think November. She's been gone. Sharita will be back. Of course, Joe and Annie. And then starting in March, the last Wednesday of the month, the Man Cave. Check out who's going to be on the panel very soon. Going to be the fellas hold things down the last Wednesday. Then the very next week, the ladies. So the Platform Sports Talk Show is expanding, bigger and better things going on for what we have popping on your Wednesday night Sports Delight. Once again, I am your boy Smoooth, along with
Jobo.
It's the Platform Sports Talk Show when it's about sports.
Okay.
My bad.
That's your part.
When it's about sports, it becomes our business, and
business keeps picking up.
All right, y'all. We out. Right. We out.